very good morning, everyone. A very, very warm welcome. Thank you, first of all, for joining and joining in time. I think the traffic on SB Road is really crazy. So thank you so much. Coming through this traffic earlier today, it also kind of stresses the importance of getting to cleaner transportation, because we have all faced the the problems of the road transportation, the pollution. But there are three numbers I want all of us to just remember. The first is, almost 150 billion is what we spend on crude oil import. There are almost 2 lakh deaths we have because of the pollution, road pollution, more importantly. And 12% of our overall India's carbon emission is due to transportation. So all economic, health and environment reason, this is a critical transition that we need to have. My name is Mahesh Devdar. I work on energy research with Pune International Center and Gokhale Institute Center for Sustainable Development. So today's focus, very timely discussion we want to have is in that transition from internal combustion engines to EVs. There are a couple of big hurdles that we are still having. The hurdles are around the higher upfront costs of EV, as we all know. And government is doing a lot of things under FAME and other initiatives. There are also supply side, demand side incentives. There are a lot of other things happening. The prices are also falling, so this is going to help. But EV charging and inadequacy of EV charging infrastructure is really a big blocker, especially if you look at it from the customer's point of view. So the idea is to kind of get all the stakeholders, and I'm really happy that we have all types of stakeholders here. We have, of course, sir from MEDA, we have from Maha Metro, we have from the site owner, and a lot of those things, and metro stations will become a big part of our EV charging infrastructure. We have MSCDCL senior officials, we have CPOs, we have site owners, we have EV OEMs, so and of course energy analysts and people who work on this as energy research. So I really welcome all of you. Today what we want to do is, the agenda for the roundtable is really simple. We are just going to have one quick context setting presentation by IESA. There are 4 of us who are co-hosting this event. Pune International Center, a very well-known think tank based out of Pune, works in a lot of different areas, including national security, environment, climate change, and several other areas, social innovation. We have Gokhale Institute's Center for Sustainable Development, and the director Gurudas Nulkar is here. We also have Prayas, who is our co-host, and Shantanu and Ashwin are there from Prayas. Of course, Prayas is well known in the energy field. And of course, we have India Energy Storage Alliance, and they do a lot of work in the storage space, energy storage space. So really happy to welcome you all. We have just one long 2-hour discussion, but we have identified 4 areas based on our research and study. And the idea is to kind of have those 4 topics and discuss around that for half an hour. But that's it really, no other agenda, because the idea is to get more inputs from you and all the stakeholders, and then build on top of that. So to get started, I'll invite the PIC director, Abhay Vaidya sir, to give us a quick welcome speech, and then we'll move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mahesh. May I request everyone to please put their phones on silent mode, please. We are indeed very happy with this very distinguished gathering at Pune International Center's Center for Sustainable Mobility's Roundtable. And we wish to welcome you to this roundtable on EV charging initiative, jointly in association with Prayas, Gokhale Institute Center for Sustainable Development, India Electric Mobility Council, and the IESA, Indian Electronics and Semiconductor Association. So sustainable mobility and renewable energy is a future that we all wish to embrace. There's a lot of excitement and enthusiasm about electric vehicles, especially among the youth. And to give you some anecdote from our own office, Once a month, we have a meeting at the Gokhale Institute, and at one such meeting, uh, one of our colleagues brought his electric scooter for a demonstration. We were all fascinated. And then came the electric bicycle, and then came the Tata Nexon, the electric car. So there is a lot of enthusiasm among the youth, and these are three examples from my own office, and we were all fascinated to say the least. So there are numerous challenges as we move towards sustainable mobility, as Mahesh just outlined. And indeed, this roundtable seeks to raise the questions and find answers and provide a direction to this national movement. Issues such as EV charging, industry trends, integration of EV charging in the grid, and avenues for greening of EV charging are going to be discussed at this roundtable. As with all our events and seminars, this roundtable will also be recorded for the benefit of future reference and public engagement. Let me tell you a little about Pune International Center, which has been working silently for the last 12 years in our city. PIC has evolved into one of India's leading policy research think tanks, which works in 5 areas: national security, energy, environment and climate change, social innovation, science, technology and the national innovation ecosystem, and urbanization and economic reforms. PIC is led by Dr. Raghunath Mashelkar and the noted economist Dr. Vijay Kelkar. Professor Malik and a number of other leading thought leaders have contributed immensely to PIC. They are the founder members of PIC, and Professor Malik in particular is the founder of PIC's ECC research division. So this center holds many book discussions, in-depth conversations, roundtables, national and international conferences throughout the year. PIC is a public-spirited, publicly funded, independent think tank dedicated to the liberal values of our constitution, the UN Charter, and to India's cultural and religious diversity. PIC has 58 institutional members, which include Gokhale Institute and many of the leading educational and research institutes, not just in Pune but in our country. And we have paid internships round the year for young students. As I often say, this is a year-round festival of thoughts and ideas at the PIC, and along with this, PIC celebrates and promotes the arts and culture, and this month itself, we've had an interesting 3-day film festival. So I'm happy to inform all of you that PIC's 7-acre campus at Pashan is coming up. It will be ready in September with an auditorium, convention hall, art gallery and amphitheater, a public policy research wing and a library. And this will indeed expand the scope of our activities and initiatives many folds, and all of you are welcome to be a part of our activities and initiatives and our programs, which are free and open to the public. Do visit our website puneinternationalcenter.org and register for our events. With this, I wish to welcome all of you once again, and thank you for your presence here today. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, sir. Now I'll request Guru Sharan ji from IESA to give a quick context setting presentation. Just couple of housekeeping. We have microphones. It's a toggle switch. Just press whenever you want to speak. Also, we are not going to do a introduction session. So what we'll do is whenever you speak the first time, request you to give your name, your organization. That will help us all connect with you better. Also, there is going to be a tea break in between, and there is also lunch arranged at the end of the event. I really request all of you to be there and have that lunch with all of us. That will be a great help to kind of informally connect with each other. Thank you once again, and over to Guru Sharan.
Thank you, Maheshji. Good morning to everyone, and thank you, Abhayji, for the very kind setting the context. I'm also thankful to all the emissaries from the various government organizations who are here today, because I think the instrumental role that they will play in this transformation is something that is very, very imperative, and we look forward to working along with them. So my name is Guru Sharan. My objective of sharing this presentation is to quickly walk through some of the facts, some which will be known and some probably which will come as a sort of context setting for the discussion. Like Maheshji said that why is actually I mean, if we look at the broader economic and social challenges that India faces, they're broadly classified into three buckets. The first is the heavy dependence on imports, which was spoken about, the rising pollution level. In fact, today almost 7% of the global CO2 emissions. We are fortunate to be blessed with a very large population, and a very large majority of this lives in the urban areas. So this means that urbanization is also going to create needs for more effective and sustainable mobility. Now, how is this context actually benefiting the situation on the ground? You can see that the adoption of electrification is steadily increasing, and it has been growing in double digits over the last 2 years. Last year, we sold over 1.5 million vehicles, which is quite a big number considering that e-mobility is just, just making its early steps on this. So why are we all here today? I mean, if you look at the top 10 states that contribute to EV sales in India, Maharashtra is at number 2, and which is why Maharashtra becomes a very important stakeholder in the overall ecosystem, and we are thankful to all the stakeholders for having taken time to attend this session today. I spoke about the need of multiple agencies engaging in the charging infrastructure. This is just a top listing of some of the key agencies that are integral to the whole this. The first is, of course, Bureau of Energy Efficiency. This is the central nodal agency. Department of Heavy Industries, which looks at FAME and other incentives. State nodal agencies, which are basically the DISCOMs. I think in Maharashtra it is MSDC, and they are responsible for governing the implementation of the charging. DISCOMs are also looking at planning, permissions, approvals, and certifications, so that gives them even more strategic importance in this whole thing. DISCOMs will also provide, if I look at the granular level, providing the electric connection, implementing the EV tariff, preventing the improper use of EV connections, managing distribution, and also undertaking grid upgrades based on the forecasted growth in load. Land owning government agencies. So these agencies can provide land parcels for setting up for providing EV charging facilities, and then of course the state and regional transport authorities for planning public charging infrastructure. I have not listed down agencies like state traffic police, etc., because we also need to ensure that this will not interrupt the flow of traffic in that zone. Now, because utilities will and this keeps getting shut
Can
off.
change.
Yeah, okay. So, the impact of EV charging on the grid.
Is it? I think it is. Yeah, just try that. I think. Or otherwise, I'll give you a. I'll give you a. Yeah, I'll give you a. Cordless mic. Just a minute.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sorry about the inconvenience. So, I think the one conversation that people normally have about e-mobility, one is the customer ready? The other is the grid ready? So, thankfully, there has been a revamped distribution sector scheme that was launched in 2021, which basically says that upgradation of distribution infrastructure will be carried out by DISCOMs along with financial assistance from Government of India, and no charges towards this will be charged from the public charging station. So this is good news that on the back end integration towards upgrading the grid will be done directly by the government and the DISCOMs. So we've sold about 1.5 million vehicles, but the potential is still infinite. And possibly some of the challenges that come in the way are the initial price premium for electric vehicles. So if I take an example of the Tata Nexon, the EV version costs about 8.5 lakhs more than the petrol version and about 4 lakhs more than the diesel version. The other two, which are directly related to charging concerns, are range anxiety and access to EV charging stations. This is what is These are probably the top three most compelling reasons that are holding customers back from finalizing their EV purchase. Charging infrastructure. So typically there are three types of charging that we can see. The first is private charging. This can be at a home or at a fleet depot. So even if you are having a larger fleet size of vehicles but charging them in-house, it still gets referred to as private charging. Then you have semi-public charging, which can include your apartments, your office campuses, shopping malls, etc. And then there is public charging, which is open to all. Uh, Further, I've just deep dived into the types of charging stations based on their location. So, public charging, like we said, is open access to everybody. Captive charging station is basically created by maybe a government agency like the Pune Bus Transport, corporate houses, ride-hailing companies, and then battery swapping stations. These are the charging patterns for various vehicle types. So, if you see electric two-wheelers, majority of the charging is done at home. Sometimes they also access public charging. This is opportunity-based charging, and some electric two-wheelers also incorporate swappable batteries. Fleet customers, which are your mobility providers who are delivery houses, etc., they are mainly working on swapping and depot charging. Electric three-wheelers again use a combination of home, public, and swapping, whereas fleet is completely dependent on swapping and depot. Four-wheelers interface between home and public, and buses are 100% utilizing only depot charging. These are the charging station guidelines that are issued by Ministry of Power based on the number of chargers that it needs to have and the number of charging guns per station. And this is the EV charging journey. So I'll just quickly skip through this. Now, when a person is looking for a public EV charging infrastructure, what are the top thoughts that go on in his mind? I think the most important is what is the price that he's going to pay. The second is how reliable is the charger. The third is how much time is it going to take him. Fourth is the location itself. And then things like ease of payment. I'll go into some of the tactical challenges for charging. So the first challenge for as a charge point operator when you're putting up a public charging station is the acquisition of land. Acquisition of land becomes extremely challenging because there are multiple stakeholders that are involved in the land acquisition process itself. The second is the capital investment. So beyond the cost of the land, the investment in the DC chargers and the wiring and etc. is also quite significant. Land ownership also sometimes becomes a challenge because premises might be owning a land, but the land outside that comes under the city corporation limits, and then if there's a road widening or some other project, it can get impacted. And public charging spaces, these are normally allocated to how do you say by contractors or something who are very hesitant because they are using this space to generate revenue, and they don't want to based on their assessment that EVs are not going to immediately become a revenue generation model. They're hesitant to allocate space within that parking lot for EV parking, or even if they have an EV station, an EV charging plug set there, they will have a normal non-EV vehicle parked there so that they can maximize revenue. And I think we are fortunate that we have Pune Metro also here, because I think metro stations will also play a very important role in the public charging roadmap, especially because customers who are patronizing metro, they are doing it because they have environmental concerns at the back of the mind, and they also leave their vehicle at their premises for about 3 to 4 hours, which is enough for a round charge. Now coming to housing societies. So housing societies basically, I have taken two cases. Most of us live in apartment complexes. The first is that the housing society has no concern. They are happy and willing to allow you to charge in their premises, but the problem is that they have a constraint in terms of transformer capacity, because the transformer which is in the larger housing societies, you have an in-house transformer. That transformer itself has a capacity constraint, and new capacity application and again the sanction can take anything between 6 months to 8 months. The second is where a society is hesitant. I mean, society has the power capacity, but it is hesitant to give you permission. The use cases are basement parking. This is a very big concern because societies are concerned if there's a fire incident, what happens to the rest of the property. Second is proximity of meter to parking. In case you are staying in a multi-story apartment, your meter is not in the vicinity of your parking. So pulling wiring through common areas is also not permitted. And the third is meter panel, a consolidated meter panel where they don't allow individual occupants to pull electric wires from from these panels to their EV charging. In this, I'd just like to mention ISA is working with our partner organization. We have Mr. Hemant Sali here from International Corporate Association, and we are advocating the right to charge campaign for EV consumers, where we are trying to create awareness for EV charging and also are providing available access to EV chargers for customers who want to transition to e-mobility. The next challenge for charging today is vulnerability. So today, the biggest transformation that has happened in the charging sector is the transition to unmanned charging stations. So far we have always been used to filling stations, and they are always manned. Now, because of the unmanned, which is very similar to what happens in the West, the challenge is that these are now very vulnerable to theft. And because they have the charging gun itself has a high content of copper. This copper is sold in the black market for about 2 to 3 thousand rupees, and the charger operator spends about 30 to 40 thousand rupees in replacing that charger gun. So it creates a lot of challenges on the ground. The second challenge, of course, is the connectivity. So because we all work on mobile networks, the charger network itself works through a cellular system, and at many times it's not able to connect to the system itself for charging authentication. The next challenge is the multiple CPO apps. So today, if I am a EV consumer, I have an option of going towards about almost 80 charge point operators to access about 16,271 public charging stations. So which means that EV customers normally, based on the route that they're frequenting, try and download the CPO, the apps for the CPOs who are operating in that particular geography. There is a new service called EMSPs, which are basically e-mobility service providers who are providing aggregated access for charging apps so that a consumer needs to access these facilities or through a single app. Now, we spoke about the vulnerability of chargers. So if we look at the future of charging, whether it's going to be manned or unmanned, today based on two signs from international companies. So interestingly, the international companies have been very hesitant and slow to get into the area of charging. This is because they have given time to understand the on-ground situation in the market. And both Hyundai and Honda have introduced manned charging and swapping stations. So it might be too early to comment, but this is an early sign that the future of charging might be manned versus unmanned. The next topic, of course, is using solar as an energy source. So solar is, of course, one of the cleanest charging options. Is it actually implementable? So in Australia, there's a green mobility mega wall that is powering Tesla units. It's also active in Malaysia, Canada, Singapore. But when I look at global examples, and then when I look at e-mobility, the first organization that comes to mind is Tesla. And Tesla, I think across the globe, including in countries like Tibet, operates solar-powered EVs. And if we think that the conversation of solar-powered charging stations is only global, these are the number of solar-powered stations which have already been installed in India. They are spread across India in Kozhikode, Mumbai, Gujarat, Ladakh, Karnal, Delhi, and Bangalore, and there are several others under plan. Uh, the next is the grid interface. So typically, I'll just skip to this. The next topic is vehicle to grid. So vehicle to grid, for those who are familiar with this term, it basically means where your EV is supporting to export energy to support the grid. There are several initiatives that have already been carried out in vehicle to grid across various geographies in the world. And what it basically needs, it just needs a bidirectional charger, and it needs a compatible EV. And of course, it needs a smart meter. These are the current vehicles that are capable of vehicle to G grid capability and the future models that are being planned. On the right side, you will see that almost all the OEMs are going to equip their vehicles with bidirectional charging, to support V2G. So it's very safe to say that the future of charging will be enabled with V2G. The next conversation is there's a lot of concern about what happens to batteries because batteries are powering these workhorses. So there's a very interesting pilot that has been done in Europe where a container-sized charging station has been created. This is using NMC batteries. They can be new or second life, and it can be used to charge trucks. The output it generates is 2.1 megawatt, and it can charge a complete truck in less than 45 minutes. So not only is it capable of delivering fast charge, but it can deliver very heavy output for charge, which can even power trucks. This is the final slide. So today, if we look at the transition of several factors, energy flow today is unidirectional, but in the future it will be bidirectional, where customers will also give back to the grid. You're seeing that happening with net metering. Grid is few to many. It's a hierarchical monopoly. In the future, it will be many to many, that is mazed. Today, a consumer is mainly engaged in a one-way consumption of energy, but in the future, not only will he consume energy, he will also produce it through solar, and he will also store it through batteries. And energy tariffs today are largely fixed, but in the future they will move towards volatility and towards more time of market usage. So these are broad thoughts and this that I had put in for the session. I'd like to now open the floor for discussions, and thank you for your attention.
Great. Thank you, Guru Sharan. So what we'll do is there are 4 topics, broad topics. So of course it's a huge canvas that he has painted, a lot of moving parts. But what I thought we'll do is we'll just open one slide for each topic, and then I'll invite inputs from each one of you, because the idea is to hear from you, from the practitioners. Although we have studied it a bit, he has shown all the things that we have studied from the desk. Oh, hi. Yeah. Welcome. Welcome, sir. Yeah.
We started with a brief presentation by ISA, sort of context setting about the whole EV sort of ecosystem in the country and what are challenges. So we are just getting into the key part of discussion. So
Yeah. Just let me just see if I'm able to. I'm just trying to. Yeah. Okay. So I was just saying. I just want to open one slide, and there are 4 areas that we thought we will discuss. So I'll just skip some of these. I wanted to show you how we are going to use this roundtable conversation, because it's important for all of you to know whatever inputs you are going to give, how we are going to use that. So the idea is we have done some initial study and identified focus areas where we need to really act as a joint ecosystem. Then this is the roundtable we are having. Then we'll finalize the approach. We'll look at the areas that all of us need to contribute to enhance the infrastructure, and then we'll publish and do some follow-up. So that's the plan. The focus areas for today's discussion for the next 2 hours almost, we are thinking, there are certain short-term things that we need to look at. There are slightly medium-term in terms of greening the EV infrastructure, charging infrastructure. How do we green it? There are green energy, open access, multiple options. So how do we make use of that? And then there are, of course, some future trends which are not so close. Although bidirectional is a really useful concept, but it's still too early for us to adopt it wholeheartedly. So we need to kind of go through that transition. So these are the 4 areas we thought we will discuss. First is the customer-centric business model. The idea is, although there are EV charging stations, the adoption of that EV charging, public EV charging, is not still good enough. We see a lot of hesitance from the customers. So we were just trying to see why is that happening. So are we really customer centric in our approach? And this is more for the CPOs, the charge point operators, and overall the ecosystem, the site owners and all that. Then we'll focus on integration into the grid and what all challenges we are facing. Then we'll get into greening, and then some future trends. Hopefully we'll have some time to discuss that. Is that okay? Do you want to focus on any specific area first based on, sir, your availability? If you want to take the integration part first, but otherwise I want to talk about the customer centricity. if that's okay, which is about how do we bring the customers to the EV charging stations, first of all. And there are a lot of implicit as well as explicit expectations from the customer. And as an ecosystem, as an industry, are we able to meet those expectations? That's the question I want to just pose to the table. But do we have? Of course, we know that penetration needs to improve. But setup, is it the standardized setup? Do we have reliable and safe infrastructure available wherever they are going? If they are going to park their car or two-wheeler, is it safe enough? Operational challenges, are the guns functional? A lot of times we have seen in Delhi and other areas, although the charging stations are there, the guns are not fully functional. So those concerns are there from the customers, and how do we address those? What are the future expectations? So they will look at reduced carbon footprint, bidirectional flow, uh, human machine interface, very important from our point of view, because customers want to make that choice to go to a charging station, maybe they are while they are driving. So most of the times you've seen the CPO applications are mobile applications, and then how do they interact? So is there a voice enabled feature where they can talk to the application? So some of these things come into picture, and of course it has to be quick. That is one. Finally, how do we give a unified view to the customer across all these CPOs? As Guru Sharan was saying, different CPOs have different applications, and ultimately customer awareness and behavioral changes. So that's the whole wide canvas that we thought we need to look at. I'll just stop here, just open it for discussion. A lot of things to discuss, but I'll just invite your views. If anybody wants to try, again, please introduce yourself. There is a microphone there. You can just press it and start speaking. And maybe I can just request the chief guest, all three of you, if you can share your views and also start sharing your views about some of these areas that will help us to capture and move forward. Thank you.
पहिले माझी ओळख करून देतो. मी राजेंद्र पवार, महावितरणला जिथे चीफ इंजिनियर आहे पुणे झोनला. तर मी पुण्यातला 6-7 तालुके आणि पुणे आणि पिंपरी चिंचवड कॉर्पोरेशन रिप्रेझेंट करतो. नियर अबाउट 36 लॅक्स पॉवर कन्झ्युमर्स आहेत आमचे. 1800 करोड्स मंथली आमचा रेव्हेन्यू आहे MSEDCLचा. आणि ह्या सगळ्यांचा पॉवर सप्लाय इंटॅक्ट ठेवायची जबाबदारी आमच्यावरती आहे. त्याच्यात जे काही बिलिंग असेल, पॉवर क्वालिटी असेल, सप्लाय असेल, ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टी आम्ही नियर अबाउट मोर दॅन 5000 आमचे एम्प्लॉईज आहेत, त्यांच्या माध्यमातून आम्ही हे सगळं करत असतो. तर आपण आपल्या विषयावर येऊया. ईव्ही चार्जिंग स्टेशन. तर पुण्यामध्ये आम्ही 18 ठिकाणी ईव्ही चार्जिंग स्टेशन्स हे प्रमोशनसाठी आम्ही आमच्या वतीने विंग नोडल ऑफिसर आम्ही हे केलेले आहेत. पूर्ण महाराष्ट्रामध्ये करतोय. आणि जिथे आमचे सबस्टेशन्स आहेत तिथे हे केलेले आहेत. आणि एकदम कमी रेटमध्ये, साधारणतः 13 रुपये 25 पैसे ना, 13 रुपीज 25 पैसा पर युनिट चार्जिंगचा रेट आहे. जे की इतर ह्या जास्त रेट चार्ज करतात, आम्ही कमी चार्ज करतो. तर तुम्ही म्हटलात तसं त्याचा रिस्पॉन्स फार तसं कमी आहे. म्हणजे एखादं कोणी प्रायव्हेट पार्टी येऊन तो बिझनेस करेल आणि त्याला प्रॉफिट होईल अशी आजची परिस्थिती नाही. त्याच्यामुळे इंडिव्हिज्युअल फार कोणी याच्यात भाग घेईल असं मला वाटत नाही. शहरातली जागा बघता, मोक्याच्या ठिकाणी जर तुम्ही लावलात हे चार्जिंग स्टेशन तरच तिथं ते चालू शकतं. आणि आजच्या दृष्टीने हा प्रॉफिटेबल बिझनेस तर निश्चित नाही आहे. त्याच्यामुळे लोक याला विरोध करतात किंवा ॲक्सेप्ट करत नाहीत. हायवे तुम्ही नॅशनल हायवे किंवा एक्सप्रेस वेला हे लावायचं असं पण आपलं एक धोरण आहे. पण शेवटी जागेचं, सगळ्या ठिकाणी जागेच्या किमती खूप आहेत आणि तेवढे इलेक्ट्रिकल व्हेकल्स नाही आहेत. आतापर्यंत MSEDCLने पुणे झोनमध्ये 394 कनेक्शन्स दिलेले आहेत. याच्यासाठी आम्ही हा जो काही टॅरिफ रेट आहे हा सबसिडाइज टॅरिफ रेट आहे. पर युनिट 6 रुपीज टॅरिफ आहे आणि त्याच्यावरती व्हिलिंग चार्जेस असं पकडून साधारणतः 7.5 रुपये हा टॅरिफ येतो पर युनिट. आणि हा फ्लॅट रेट टॅरिफ आहेत, याला काही स्लॅब नाही आहेत. त्याच्यामुळे इंडिव्हिज्युअल कनेक्शन घेण्यावरती लोकांचा जास्त भर आहे आणि आम्ही ते प्रमोट करतोय. याला कुठल्याही गोष्टीचं हे लागत नाही. राहिली गोष्ट, जे काही चार्जिंग स्टेशन तुम्हाला कोणाला प्रायव्हेटला टाकायचे आहेत, त्याच्यात लोड जो आहे तो 60 किलोवॅटच्या वरतीच लोड जवळपास लागतो. आणि त्या लोड लागण्यासाठी हे कुठे येणार आहे हे मला माहीत नाही. बिंग MSCDCL, आय डोंट नो व्हेर इट कम्स. तर त्याच्यासाठी मला त्या जागेवर इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर आज असेलच असं नाही. तर तिथे नवीन इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर म्हणजे तिथली जे काही पॉवर आपलं डिस्ट्रीब्युशन ट्रान्सफॉर्मर माझं आहे, त्याची कॅपॅसिटी वाढवावी लागते. आणि ती कॅपॅसिटी वाढवायची म्हटली तर ज्याला ते टाकायचं आहे ती व्यक्ती तयार होत नाही. इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर कॉस्ट वाढते म्हणून. तर तो खर्च करायला मी तयार आहे, पण मला इन ॲडव्हान्स ह्या गोष्टी माहीत असल्या पाहिजेत. आमच्याकडे NSC, न्यू सर्व्हिस कनेक्शन नावाची नवीन स्कीम आलेली आहे. त्याच्यात 100% इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर आम्ही डेव्हलप करून देणार आहे आपल्याला ग्राहकांसाठी. तर त्याच्यात ह्या गोष्टी आपण करू शकतो. पण इन ॲडव्हान्स हे तुमचे चार्जिंग स्टेशन कुठे कुठे येणार आहेत याची आम्हाला पूर्वकल्पना म्हणजे इन ॲडव्हान्स आम्हाला ही सगळी माहिती मिळायला पाहिजे. आणि जर तुम्ही रात्रीचे हे आता चार्जिंग व्हेकल चार्जिंग कोणी रात्रीच करतं बऱ्याचदा. म्हणजे प्रायव्हेट जर व्हेकल असेल तर ते रात्रीच चार्ज होतं. आणि त्यासाठी मला रात्रीचं मी तुम्हाला TOD टॅरिफमध्ये ₹1.5 कन्सेशन पण आहे. जे ₹7.5 आता म्हटलं होतं ते ₹6 रात्रीचं चार्जिंग पडतं. रात्री 10 ते सकाळी 6 जर तुम्ही चार्ज केलं तर त्याला ₹1.5 परत रिबेट आहे. सबसिडाइज टॅरिफ व्यतिरिक्त परत हा रिबेट आहे. आणि तुम्ही ते जर सकाळी 9 ते 12 चार्ज केलं तर प्लस 80 पैसे आहे. आणि पीक अवर्समध्ये संध्याकाळी 6 ते रात्री 10 पर्यंत जर तुम्ही केलं तर ₹1.10 त्याच्यात वाढ होते. असा हा टॅरिफ आहे. आणि आम्ही याच्यासाठी महावितरणने एक सर्क्युलर काढून सर्व ग्राहकांना ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टी प्रमोट करतोय. MSCDCL कडून जास्तीत जास्त प्रमोट करायचा प्रयत्न, कारण शेवटी आम्ही पण नोडल एजन्सी आहे याचे, त्याच्यामुळे प्रयत्न तर करतोय, पण त्या प्रमाणात ग्राहकांचा रिस्पॉन्स असा नाही आहे. तर पूर्ण दिवस किंवा आपले 3 तास मी आपल्यासोबत इथे राहू शकणार नाही. माझं आज वर्किंग डे ऑफिस आहे. माझ्या वतीने आमचे डॉक्टर पटणी इथे पूर्ण तुमचे ज्या काही शंका असतील त्यांना ते रिप्रेझेंट करतील. थँक्यू.
Great.
I have some point to. I think Rajendra Pawarji has put up a very nice point about this data, and I think even for the charging manufacturers or the infrastructure guys, they don't know where to put this. This demand and supply has to be now. This is a technology is available, right? I mean, Google has a lot of data, or your Map My India have all these data where exactly you have to put the charging station. Today we don't bother about seeing in app for the petrol station, because we know at least 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers we'll get a petrol station. I think today that demand and supply where we are selling the electric vehicles and where we have to establish this is extremely critical. I don't know whether government can make this data available through whatever mobility as a service or something, and we pay, I mean the charging infrastructure guys can pay a little amount, because this data is very difficult to get. I mean today if you want to know, like for example, where is all Tata Nexon being sold or electric two-wheelers are being sold, is very difficult. I think that's a very, very right point. If this happens, the adaptability will
Okay. Yeah.
Just one
Yeah.
question there. Isn't that data available at RTO level? How many EVs are registered in Pune?
Yeah, that's a.
Or that is not sufficient?
That will not be sufficient.
Not
you have to know
sufficient.
where to go. Yeah, I mean where these vehicles are flying.
Even their travel patterns.
Yes.
RTO is registered, not where they are being used, where they are being charged. That data is not.
मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम काय होतं की मी कुठला तरी ऍड्रेस देतो, व्हेकल तिथे नसतं, दुसरीकडे असतं, त्याच्यामुळे लोकेशन
Why I
आपण
asked
क्लिअर
that
करू
question is, I think even government or MSCDCL will not have that data. So it will have to be some independent exercise to generate that data. That's the point I was making. And if you're looking at their sort of travel pattern and charging sort of behavior, one will have to go down to either looking at their charging apps, because I think those apps will have that data, or we'll have to do primary survey. So just wanted to bring in that
Yeah.
point that
Yes.
government will also have limitations in terms of that.
So a lot of GIS tools will sell that data. So
Yeah.
for example, Google will be able to sell that data, or
And I think one
Map
of
My
the
India.
thing that what Mahesh sort of started with is, The objective of this PIC and Gokhale Institute exercise is really how to build in customer centricity to this whole charging process. And for that, one of the thing that sort of their thought process is there needs to be integration of lot of data that is already sitting in isolation with different operators, different vehicle owners, different vehicle companies, and that integration and having a public repository of data is something that is very important.
Absolutely. Just one point on that is, of course, finding charging stations is difficult, and customer adoption is difficult. So one of the thing is, instead of parking where the charging is available, can we make the charging available where we park a lot? So basically, there are all these establishments, whether it's malls, offices, metro stations, airports. There are a lot of those places where we all of us park our vehicles for a long, long time. Now, can that be an option? Because MSCDCL, from the DISCOM perspective, also they'll be able to plan it much better. They know where offices are. They know where the load is higher. So maybe that can be. So these are the kind of things that we, as an industry, as an ecosystem, have to think, so that we are able to better, encourage people to use these common shared charging. So maybe that's just one thought I wanted to leave.
The data of charging stations is available on the Power Up EV app. As MSCDC EV app. Location is already there. Here we installed charging stations. Because BA has given us the work of SNA, State Nodal Agency, and accordingly we are locating these stations. Those who are coming with new stations can also give the geo coordinates, so that it will be shown, it will be available on the app. So that is open for the people. Secondly, as sir mentioned, earlier there was no facility of getting the individual connection at EV rate. Because in the initial days it was like, if you are using from your home, you will get a residential tariff. If you are using from your office, it will be a commercial. But now from 1st April 2024, separate EV connection is allowed. So there is nothing like that. And just to answer your initial quotes, I don't think that it will take 8 months. As somebody mentioned, it takes 6 to 8 months to get a connection. So definitely it is not the scenario here.
We are having some SOPs. In that period, we have to give you connection within 1 month.
I just want to quickly touch on the part where the parking versus the station.
Just one suggestion,
yes.
if you can just introduce.
Yes, so
I didn't that sort of.
yeah, I'm Vijay, and I'm employee at Dassault Systems in Hinjawadi IT Park. So I want to touch upon what our company has done, and I also live in Blue Ridge Township. So I also want to talk about that. At Dassault Systems, the way parking is designed is, when you enter the parking, first there is a bicycle stand. Then there is a reserved parking for EV vehicles. And then whoever, like me, people who have still not bought EV, has to go and use the stacked parking. So you lose 10 minutes in that. So they have, whoever designed it, hats off to him. And it comes under Pune Circle. So government agencies who coordinated that, thanks to them. And what I came to know is that company has made that EV charging free of cost. First come, first serve basis. So that is an excellent initiative. So I feel stupid when I enter the parking that I still don't own an EV car. The second is the society. Now our society has enough space, and that's again the point is, when I park it overnight, anyway I have the designated space for me, and again I can take an individual connection. So frankly, I don't see any obstacles. Maybe certain societies don't have the space, but policies are in the place. Companies where the cars are already parked have the space. Otherwise, the space is a premium in Pune, and the economics doesn't work, is what sir was saying. Thank you.
Great. I would like to invite, if CPOs, if you have any views about the challenges that you face from both perspective, from the profitability perspective, as well as from the customer centricity perspective. Are there any views from the charge point operators about the business that they are running? Do we have any? Yeah.
So before that, I think let's start discussing about on the customer point of view. I represent Bigos. It's a two-wheeler OEM here. So in the market, there are two variety of segments. One is B2C and B2B completely. So B2C may, especially in two-wheeler, the percentage of usage of public charging facility is pretty less because they know the kind of mindset they have that I'll buy a vehicle and I'll charge it at home or there is a swapping. The percentage is very less altogether. When it comes to B2B, okay, like you rightly pointed out there, many people they adopt for in terms of swappability or maybe public transportation. Today we see, I mean, it can be Bangalore or in Pune or anywhere and all, you have a charging facility, but see the ratio. So you have 1,000 parking lot, you have 3 or 4 or 5, that's it. But when you see an app and all, you feel that there is a charging facility there. But the ratio is not growing as like, the EV is trending now currently. Today, if you see in Bangalore at least that you have people quote, I mean, any other OEM also can comment on this. We have 6,000 charging facilities there. But do these swapping or charging facilities accommodate the existing, sales? That is first question. So many people don't want to get into this public transportation. Second is on terms of economics. So many B2B customers where I completely discuss that, it is not matching to their economics, unit economics altogether. So that is something government need to intervene and try to reduce that cost initially, like they did it for FAME or something. And all, like Bangalore, they started incentivizing the charging infra altogether. So these are the 2 points where it helps, getting more of a charging infra into the system. So we need to discuss on these 2 points so that at least there is a excitement over that.
So any inputs from the site owner perspective? Because I think metros are becoming big sites. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going to park there. So
Yeah. Well, this is Manoj Daniel. I'm the DGM handling the multimodal integrations, and EV segment is part of my KPI, okay, KRA, whatever we call it. Initially, we invited almost 6 OEMs uh, who came in. We've signed up a few more in the pipeline. There are 2, 3 OEMs who have already installed across 7, 8 metro stations, enabling the two-wheeler segment to have the facility at the metro stations. Right. These are up and running. We are providing temporary power connections. Some of them they have already approached MSEB and then they got their lines, and they're all operating. Right now, we are giving it absolutely free of cost for charging, and neither we are charging the operators. We will continue for some more time, okay, till the entire environment evolves, So people like Reliance Jio, IOCL, Tata Power, we are one of our prospective operators here already. So we are signing up an MOU just to ensure that they are part of our entire safety and security systems at the street level, at the metro stations and the metro parking, which is going to come up very soon. To ensure that they fall in place in terms of operating rather than leaving them absolutely footloose, right? That's why we sign up an MOU, right? Okay, so they're responsible for safety and providing the services there. And as and when we are starting the parking, about 8 to 9 parking places are already up now across some of the stations. We are encouraging them to even go there and install the. Now, the challenge initially we faced is getting a line. So we very well coordinate with the department here. We send our promote operators to meet them, complete the formalities, and then get the line. Okay. Now, challenge there are of course challenges there. The DP wherever it's very close to my station, we have few stations where the DP is just about 1 meter or 2 meters. So we were able to activate the stations there. But if the DP is a little far, then the question of investment comes in. 10 meters of wire, cabling, security, digging, permissions, all that stuff comes in. So we have taken a call a few days ago saying that we will supply them the power from our stations and we will not charge them right now. Okay, that is to encourage people to come install, be seen to the citizens, so that we start talking about EV ecosystem around the stations and the parking, right? And we would definitely continue this because at the end of the day, I am looking at a park and ride kind of a customer, right? I don't want to create a parking place and a EV charging system for people not to use metro, but then they come and park their vehicle for the half a day and then do shopping around. I don't want to do that. I want people to use the metro system, at least at the terminal station. They come park while they transit on the metro. They can put their vehicles on charging for a few hours, or maybe in the evening. That's what I did in Hyderabad Metro. I come from Hyderabad Metro, 8 years of experience there. We have close to 50-60,000 vehicles get charged every day at the terminal stations. Since space is a constraint here in the metro in Pune, we are somehow getting our parking places reserved for few stations at least, so that people can park there, use the metro, and when they come back, their vehicles are charged. This is what ecosystem is what I've already started, initiated, and we're building it. We have few more companies coming in very soon. They will start installing their EV systems. Wherever possible, we are asking them to approach the department to get their lines there. Wherever it's not possible, I am trying to give them the line, at least to create an awareness saying that EVs are available, and it's in the matter of time, they'll approach the department wherever possible. They'll get the physical line connected to that. Okay. Nagpur we have done with the ESL, almost all the 30 stations we have the charging stations. Here we have got about 7 stations already up. We are operating 20 stations now, so we are inviting all the OEMs to come and do a recce and then study the feasibility in terms of which station they would like to choose first. And our intention is to encourage the two-wheelers first. Because four-wheeler, I don't have a space, one. Two is the amount of time which takes for a charging of four-wheeler. Maybe at the depots, yes, in future, very soon. Maybe at the terminal stations, if I get additional parking places, which we are working with PMC, PCMC, and PMRDA, including the defense establishments, we are trying to get parking spaces, negotiating with them. Apart from this, we are also connecting with societies and educational institutions to spare the little space after their working hours. Let's say school gets over by 2 or 3, or then we can start using the space till the last train, which is 10 o'clock today. But in future, very soon, it will be 11 p.m. So this is what I am doing, and on our own, we are promoting EV ecosystem across the societies, gated societies, which are closer to the stations, very close to the station. So we have identified a lot of such institutions, and then we're talking to them. Right now, Metro looks at it as a facility, creating a facility for OEMs to establish their units and operate. And of course, we'll encourage our citizens to come and park their EV vehicles while they use the metro system. So this is what we've been doing, and then we will continue to do this. Yes, if we all come together, my space is available, and right now I'm not charging any rentals as well, right? Okay. Neither I want my OEMs to charge the customer. Right? So first few years we said let's give it free. Let's take that hit. Let's create an environment so that people get used to it. Then we'll think of some nominal charges, like for me, I am looking at just about a rupee per unit kind of a thing, or maybe 50 paisa for it. Nagpur we don't charge. Pune we are not charging. We will certainly not charge for at least next 1 or 2 years. The whole idea is to encourage the EV ecosystem here.
Great, thank you. I think what comes out for me at least is the key role of the site owners. I think a lot of those promotional activities that Metro is doing, we also heard from Blue Ridge, this township. So I think the site owners have to really play a critical role in terms of inviting the infrastructure, the services from MSCDCL, the connections, as well as the CPOs. Because they are available, they are ready, but they need the right utilization of their charging stations. So you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I'll come in. So I'm Akshay Golia. I am the co-founder and CEO of S Charger, a charger manufacturer and a design company. So we are based in Nasik, and we design and make chargers. Today I came in an evening to Pune, and my first question for me was to where do I charge my car to go back. So luckily I found one nearby. On the user experience part, what you were mentioning, that the first focus should be user experience, how to improve user experience for people who end up needing EV chargers. I really believe there is one easy way which probably can be implemented is we all have MACB connections, MACDCL connections through which we pay monthly bills. why not have an integrated layer where the charging bill also is included in the MSCB bill on a month-to-month basis, and that way, as a user of EV, I don't have to worry about installing 10, 20 different apps to ensure I get my EV charge wherever I am. So today while coming here, I had to install one app just to find to find that charger that would charge my EV in the nearby area. So some software integration to the electricity provider makes it much easier, and a single bill for energy use. In the end, it's a business of transacting energy use. I mean, we are buying electricity after all. So I think why not have a common bill for your home as well as for your mobility use for electricity. So that can be a very and a very simplified approach to billing for energy, where we anyway use for home and offices. Why not integrate e-mobility in that and have a clean experience for users and a common app, maybe statewide, nationwide? Yeah.
See, under the guidance of Honorable Prime Minister, there's an NCMC card has been launched, right? And we were the first in the metro industry to launch that. In fact, Delhi Metro is just a few weeks ago they have launched it. Likewise, we are looking at that comes under the initiative of One Nation, One Card. Now, Metro has taken an initiative to do something on the similar lines for the city of Pune. Since we're all tired of downloading several apps, how long can we keep downloading these apps, and the usage may not be all that great. So we're looking at one city, one app. We already initiated talking to all the stakeholders. So Metro would be the lead organization. So one city, one app will integrate with almost all the stakeholders, right from PMPML, MSRTC, MSATL, PCMC, PMC, PMRDA, DRM Railways. I'm also talking to the top management of IRCTC to integrate their applications with our app so that it's easy, because I connect with 3 stations absolutely few meters away from the mainline station. Let's say Pune railway station, Shivajinagar, we are right below, and of course Kadiki and other stations coming up in future. So all the stakeholders, plus we are also talking to mobility applications, to integrate, so that for a citizen he doesn't need to download all several apps. It's going to be in a hyperlink kind of a thing. You just click and then do your business, and that's it. So my app would eventually integrate with all the stakeholders, not just the ticketing part of it, but also the citizen passenger information as well. So we started this. We're talking to several stakeholders, and I think it would take a little more time for us to go live. For example, on 5th of next month, you'll find the first auto rickshaw app going live in the city of Pune. About 40,000 auto rickshaws have built their own app. We have been guiding them. That app we are integrating now at the back end with my app. It's called, I don't want to disclose the name. They didn't want me to share it, but then, so this is what we're doing. We already signed up an MOU. We're integrating with the Bombay Pune cabs, blue cabs. We're talking to the DRM Railways. We're talking to IRCTC. We're talking to various other organizations to ensure that you don't launch your own applications unless otherwise, right? Can we have one parent app and then branches connected with all these apps, so that your ticketing is done with the Metro and your information is also parted with the Metro in terms of identifying bus stops for PMPL or an auto stand at the end of any of the metro stations. I don't know how many of you all seen. There are about 1,800 PMPL buses up and running on the streets. All the 1,800 buses have got my QR code right now inside the bus. The idea was you don't have to come to the station, decide and stand in the queue and buy your ticket. While you're coming towards the station, you can buy your ticket sitting in the bus. Likewise, we've already pasted this QR codes in almost 2,000 auto rickshaws on a sample, and we're trying to monitor how many people actually are coming towards the station and then booking the Metro as well. Okay, we've already done this kind of a thing at the Pune railway station at the ticketing counter, so you don't have to go right up to the Metro station to buy a Metro ticket. You're down when you're buying, you're walking at this place. you would like to book a ticket, yes, you can. Okay, so this is what we have done as a pilot project. It's been very successful. Now we are venturing into the canteens of almost all the top educational institutions with large population, let's say MITs, VITs, COPs. So I am enabling a customer to sit in your campus and book your metro ticket. You don't have to actually come to the metro station, go up to the ticket office and then buy a ticket. So this is what we already started. So next level, yes, we would like to integrate. We want all our operators to integrate their applications with us so that people literally don't need to download 7 different apps, Reliance, then Tata, then all. Okay, so we are trying to work on this. I think very soon we will be coming back with some pilot testing and all.
Does this app will also do a trip planning? Like for example, I want
Exactly.
to go from
The whole idea of app itself is घर से घर तक. The entire journey can be planned, pre-booked, and you buy your tickets in advance. That's the whole idea. So it will give you the shortest route, the most economic route. Okay, you have options like Ola, Ubers today, or a Google. You have a walking pedestrian, you have a bicycle, then you have an auto rickshaw, then you have a bus, then you have a cab. So all this will be available, the time taken and the cost. So it will throw open to the citizen to choose what he wants to and then book it. That's the whole idea. End of the day, the top line, bottom line is to give a seamless, most economic and the most fastest route with integration with metro. In fact, last week we also had a meeting with the tourism department here in the same place. On weekends where my footfalls are low, my riderships are low, I want to promote tourism. It's a day-long pass we have launched, unlimited trips. You hop on, hop off with the metro. You go to Shaniwar Wada, you get down at PMC, walk across, then you want to go to Aga Khan Palace, take the metro, go back again to Kalyani Nagar station, get down, have a half a day there. Then you want to go to Alandi, go to Santukaram Nagar, take a bus, go to Alandi and come back in the evening. So it's unlimited. So all this is we are exploring. We have launched this day. It's just cost you 100 rupees with unlimited trips on a Saturday and a Sunday. So this is what we're trying to integrate with tourism on a weekends or a festival or a public holiday. Monday to Friday, I don't have to work. I don't have to worry. But yes, I'm always hungry. Ridership is very important for us. We are trying to explore whatever best possible things, and nothing like integrating the EV segment. Yes, the two-wheelers by and large. See, there's always a question also when you talk about four-wheelers, we are the ones who would like to discourage. Because if everybody starts using a four-wheeler, you are using the same space on the same road. If I can put in 15 two-wheelers in place of 2 four-wheelers, I think that's where, and if I can get them parking at my metro station, also in EV charging, then I think we make it. That's it.
Absolutely. I think public transport has to be at the top of everybody's priority. Only then, we go to the next. I think.
I just want to quickly request Arjun Pawarji. He's running a very successful CPO for his views.
Hello, I'm Arjun Pawar, founder of Nicole EV, and we are a CPO based in Pune. So we work in installing fast charging stations and slow charging stations in highways and societies. So we have done various surveys and we have the consumer feedbacks and all. Majority of the 3 things that we have understood in our 3 years journey is the limited number of charging infrastructure, majorly in the fast charging segment. Second is the unavailability of those. So even if we have lakhs of thousands of chargers in India, and especially in Maharashtra, 50% of them are not operational. So that is a challenge that we need to see. And then there are companies which operate and maintain those stations, they might come up in picture. And I think MSCDCL or something organization should help in encouraging maintaining these stations as well. They have the infra or they have the labor already to operate and maintain such kind of infrastructure. So it can be an added advantage for us. So availability is a major thing, and also grid infrastructure. So some months ago we understood that you need to have a separate transformer again for a high capacity charging stations, where the underutilization, when we were talking about underutilization and the ROI not getting, so it discourages us. So that's why in Delhi, I think so, they don't require transformer for up to 100 or 200 kilowatt. So if such kind of support is been provided from the DISCOM, it will encourage more CPOs to install more charging stations, and the ROI could be easier getting, it will get easier for us as well. Also, while maintaining, well, when we say the chargers are not functional or not operational, there's another issue of security and safety as well. There was a tender from PMC PCMC. We had put on the point of safety of the chargers, but they said it's your responsibility. But since it's a public property, I think corporation should come up. They have the police advantage as well, and they should ensure the safety of the chargers also. Last week there have been 5 guns stolen in Nasik district itself, of for fast charging stations of Hyundai, our own charging station. We had 2 guns stolen from our charging station. So again, support from the local government or the should come up. So organizations such as the corporation, NMC, PMC should come encourage protection to public infra. Since although we are installing, but it's a public infra, so it's their responsibility as well to come up and protect that infrastructure. And then again, so multiple things, multiple apps and all, these are the problems that daily customers are facing. I think payment integrating apps such as PhonePe, Google Pay should, there are features now to integrate your charges with those applications. So it might be a useful advantage. Although that what sir is saying, it's a very good thing, very good initiative. They are also offering their infra or the transformer to the public. So I think MSCDCL or MIDC is also having a good amount of load infra available. So they should provide such infra to the CPOs or charging companies, so it will encourage more installations in future also.
I would just like to mention one thing. When everybody talks about the MSCDCL's support for the additional infra, we'll just put one figure: 18 charging stations, only 80,000 in 1.5 year consumption. So whatever we have given is not being used. So we have done that at our own cost. So let us try to use them.
So absolutely.
That cost is being paid by our consumers.
Yeah.
MCDC.
Yeah.
We all end up
Yes,
paying
but we are giving it only at 13 rupees 25 paise, where the others are giving at 20 plus. Still, we are not getting the customers. So maybe surprisingly, the awareness is low, but we have given it in the newspapers and all that. So if we start using that, maybe few things will be changing.
I know you want to, but I agree. I think finally customers, utilization, because a lot of these CPOs are in single digit utilization, and that hurts everybody. That hurts the planning that MSCDCL has done. That hurts the CPO business. So going back to that point, how do we improve the digital face of this whole EV charging ecosystem is really, really key. Government is also trying something at the central level. EESL is actually trying to unify all these applications into one platform. But I think some of these initiatives that you talked, which will really help. But I just want to move on because this next topic is really, really important. I want to show you one slide. But going back to the point that he was making about the grid connection, I think, there are things that are going well, that are things that we can further work. So I just wanted to open up this slide and just share it with all of you, just to tell you what all challenges.
Just a point.
Yeah, yeah.
We're also we're working on a local area map around each station.
Yeah.
We are trying to identify banking systems, education institutions, ATMs, petrol pumps, hospitals, fire department. All of them would be displayed at the entry exit of every station. Okay, so there are about 4 exits for a station, so 4 different information is gathered. Now we would also like to know if the CPOs can share the data, the nearest charging stations around the station. We don't mind putting that data onto the stations, as well as onto the applications once you integrate. So
I think Metro can play a really critical central role, because everything finally connects to Metro in one way or other. But we just want to talk about grid. So Shantanu, Ashwin, if you want to just set the context, and then we can discuss a few things about this.
Sorry. I think this again, comes back to the very important issue of what is the charging infrastructure requirement. And as we are talking about customer-centric approach for charging stations, we also need to have sort of the business-centric approach for establishment of charging infrastructure. And in that sense, I think already there are few welcome decisions by MERC and MSCDCL, as sir was just mentioning. One important issue was availability of separate meter for charging at home. Now MERC has already cleared it. There is separate tariff category for that. So all individual households or businesses can have separate connection for EV charging, which really facilitates achieving multiple objectives. One is like having substantially reduced tariff for EV charging compared to what otherwise commercial, industrial or households would be paying. Secondly, going forward, this will also allow more dynamic pricing for EV charging, because there is separate meter which will be TOD enabled meter. Hopefully going forward that will also become a smart meter, and then we can have actually much more dynamic and cost reflective tariff, which will again encourage EV charging in a smarter way. As sir was also mentioning, there are clear guidelines that if there is infrastructure enhancement required, then there is SOP within which such kind of infrastructure has to be provided. So I think by and large, in terms of regulatory framework or the procedural framework, things are in good shape. Question is in terms of when we go to actual field in terms of trying to implement or build on these positive measures, what is the experience? And that is the sort of topic for this segment, that what is the experience of charge point operators, what difficulties they face when it actually comes to asking for infrastructure from MSCDCL. And one of the issue that definitely the RISCOM is going to face is they need some kind of feasibility. They also need to make huge investment, because it's not like it's a network industry, as we all know. So they need to lay lines. They also have their issues about right of way. So I think both actors, those who are asking for EV charging station connections and the distribution company which is going to provide that connection, need to work hand in hand, and there needs to be some sort of medium term visibility for the DISCOM to be able to effectively plan, and then they will be able to meet the SOP requirements. So I think I just want to open up that topic for discussion, that where are gaps in this process, what further actions are required from both sort of station owners as well as MSCDCL.
I would like to comment on this. Previously, it was discussed. First of all, myself, Pankaj Tagalpallevar, Additional Director General, MEDA. MEDA is a state designated agency of BE for energy conservation, and that also takes care of EV. So, two things which are discussed. We are talking about the transformer availability in the societies. So, I will like to share that DISCOM has got certain criteria for defining the load of the societies. That is 75 watt per square meter for residential. And by my observation, the transformers are literally underloaded. They are only 20 to 30% loaded. So I think there is a sufficient window available in the transformers to give new connections of EV. That is already there. So I don't think there is requirement of some additional infrastructure. Why separate transformers is being required and what is the technical need of that transformer, I don't know. This really needs to be studied in technical manner. So that window is already available. And second thing I would like to share is there are certain energy conservation measures which can be taken up in the societies. So if there is a 30% saving in energy by energy conservation measures, then that additional 30% window is also available for EV. And for DISCOM, I can also talk on behalf of DISCOM. EV is a new consumer. MSCDCL in Maharashtra is having surplus power. So if I get the new consumer, which is not my traditional consumer, it is being converted from conventional fuel of diesel, petrol to electricity. So it's a new consumer. So it should be really grabbed. And one thing that 6 months for transformer was shared. So I would like to share one experience that 2 MVA connections of PMPML was sanctioned within a week, and it was released immediately. So MSCDCL is also ready to give the connection. Yeah, it's getting disconnected. So there is one thing bad for the EV. Recently there was report from IIT Kanpur last year. It was shared that life cycle emission of EV is higher than that of IC engine if you compare them. But that is a good news for RE. If you charge EV through conventional power, then its carbon emission is more than IC engine. But if you charge it through RE, then carbon emission is on lesser side. So it's good news for RE. So it promotes RE also. So that infrastructure needs to be taken. Yeah, thank you.
In addition to sir's comments, where we get demand for the transformer are the crowded areas. Manoj sir is laughing because he knows, and the excess capacity is available in the societies. Sir was the in charge when we have given the sanction for PMPML within 7 days. So we are doing it, rightly mentioned. But we can do one thing, sir. This gathering can do one thing: give us the data wherever the charging stations will come. We will sit and design some DPR, some program, because randomly we get कि इतना time लगता है, ये लगता है. But when we, sir, or we are there, I don't think कि the things are happening. एक हाथ दूसरा जगह पे होता होगा, लेकिन आप हमको दो, collect करके दो, either PIC, either metro, whosoever is doing it, let us give us the data. These are the locations where in future the stations will be coming, so that we can plan accordingly and along with the RE measures. Because in Prakash Bhavan now our own EV charging station, we have finalized the tender for the green charging station. So within a month it will be a total green charging station. Solar plus charging station.
One more thing, as Shantanu sir has rightly shared concerns about ROW regarding infrastructure, and there are also concerns for the EHV infrastructure in metro cities like Pune. So we'll also request PMPML, Metro and other bodies to support DISCOM for getting lands for this EHV substations. We were in coordination with them, but that support is really required. Otherwise, this infrastructure development for EHV will really be in
Last 3 years, sir and our team was fighting to get a land. We have proposed 18 number of EHV substations also to cater the future load of the Pune city. So we are there with full plan, but land is a big issue in Pune. Whatever we have, we are trying to give it more and more. But in few places, support from you, all of you will be required for getting the land, so that we can have more number of HV substations and more number of EHV substations. Under the NAC scheme, definitely we are working hard. Now 1.3 is the second or third priority. It is not the first priority, but NAC scheme is the first priority. Just do one thing. Today get the data and we can finalize the thing.
So we can also identify the nearest DP at these stations, because my stations are stationed, okay, immovable. So we need to identify how much is the distance from the station to the nearest TP. Is there a way we can bring it as close as possible to the station, so that it enables the CPOs to draw and then install and go live, you know? So probably that is one. I'll also share the parking lots, the amount of vehicles can be parked, and then we can create. We have already designed to have the installation of the charging station inside the parking, which is a secured parking, right? Now my stations are all secured. We got 350 cameras per station. Every human being to a distance of 500 meters on either side of the station are monitored every day. If there's an accident on this nearby to the station, we are the first organization to be called by the traffic department to show the clippings. We have been doing this. So it's all secured at the place. I have a security guy 24/7 at every station at the street level. So OEMs, CPOs, you don't have to worry about your safety and security of your equipment. You just ensure that they are up and live and running. That's it. Because a lot of social media handles come in. When a charging station पे गया, but a charging station charge नहीं होता है या धीरे से होता है, and all that is there. So we are evolving. So what can a metro do? All I can do is give you a space, but then if you can operate it efficiently, nothing like it.
Sir, charge नहीं होता है is because of software where you are not able to engage the charging session. Charge slowly होता है because of voltage fluctuation, and charge बिल्कुल ही नहीं होता because it is stolen, like Arjun ji.
Exactly. See, of late we have realized there are students, youth, after charging they peel off the QR code.
Yes.
They'll ensure that other guys coming in the line, they won't get that facility. So we track them. We caught few of these students as well, especially at Garware College. They are not aware that they are monitored. So we went to the college, caught hold of them, and we warned them. There are some, experiences where we also having. So we support the partner, saying that okay, this is the guy. No, this is you just go and see if we can educate the students there not to do this, rather enable others also to charge. Now, auto rickshaws, e-auto rickshaws are coming in a big way. We are trying to create even spaces for the auto rickshaws, parking places, some of them are there. Now, if you go to Garware station, there's always 2 or 3 auto rickshaws were parked under the station. I don't want to really move them off, but then let them get used to that, as long as there is no two-wheeler, they park there and they're doing the charging absolutely no cost, at no cost.
So, sorry, just one quick data point on the transformers for Patni sir and Pankaj sir. Sir, this is live case of the society I live in. 10 transformers, 400 kVA load, total 4000 kilowatt, operating at 80%, 3200. 400 apartments, each has allocated load of 7 kilowatt. Society has given in writing, go charge somewhere else, you cannot charge in this society. Sir, this is in Delhi.
Manoj sir, actually, all the persons whom you sent to me, they have that Delhi model in mind. So let us not go for Delhi model. It is a Pune. So let us design our own model, because whosoever comes to me na, he says, sir, in Delhi ये cable भी इन्होंने दिया. Delhi discom is a different thing. Maharashtra discom is a different thing. Let us design our own model and come out that shell की दिल्ली में ऐसा है, दिल्ली में okay है, लेकिन यहाँ पे हम लोग अपने लिए कुछ डिजाइन कर रहे हैं. तो
मुझे भी दे दो sir. Moment it will go part of the MOU, so that they are aware right from the day one when they sign up for using my spaces, they need to follow this 10 steps, based on the.
Yeah, you can do one thing till April. You just collect the data if it is okay with you, and in April we will have meeting with all our local officers also. It will be chaired by CE sir. We can arrange that along with the executive engineers in the city, along with MEDA also, and we can then discuss. We are open. At might be only one place. If you feel bad, there are 200 places in Pune. So just don't go by one place. Let us work in tandem.
Yeah, I just want to build upon what sir said of the society charging. I come from Tata.ev, the Tata Motors passenger vehicle company. So we recently, few days back, we conducted charging day, wherein we brought in lot of awareness about the challenges that the customers are facing. The first time in history we put the customers on the stage, and everybody from the management, from all the ecosystem, some partners were also there, listening to what the challenges of customers are. And we had also invited Reshme ji for that. So what we realized that 93% of charging, this is what our data says, our connected car data says, 93% of the charging happens at home or public or office, not at public locations. Because as an individual, I do not want to, even if it is 30 minutes charging, as an individual I don't want to spend my 30 minutes waiting for my car to charge. We are not used to that habit. So when my car is idly parking, I want it to charge. So most of it happens overnight, and most of it happens in offices also, the people who do not get home charger installed in home. So the biggest challenge is that the customers posed that there are tenants, there are people who do not have dedicated parking. How do we solve their home charging issues? Because as sir said, capacity of transformer is just one issue, and that might not be, let's say, in Pune or Maharashtra. But how do we solve for permissions? How do we solve for connection up to their parking? There is a chance that I might be staying in one building, my parking might be in the other building. I might be staying in one building, my parking might be in open. How do we get charging connection there? Because we have, at least I have been in charging space for last 4 years, and I have talked to customers who have been, they wanted to buy the car very badly, but they said civil work का खर्चा 1 लाख रुपए आ रहा है. Just to get cable from my meter to my parking, I have to pay 1 lakh rupees for wiring, digging up the road and closing the road. Society says, why should I pay for it? Society is right. Society says, तुम्हारा connection है, तुम्हारे meter से आ रहा है, why should I pay for it? So when it says right to charge, what I also wanted to bring in a larger concept, that it is not just right to charge to get a connection. It is right to charge to get permissions, right to charge to get access to charger. I should, as an individual, when I say I have right to electricity, and this is what the parliament has passed the law, right to electricity is discoms are mandated to give me power. They have to figure out how. And I'm not saying this is a discom job. This is an entire stakeholder job. If an individual wants charger, as a stakeholder community, we have to ensure that he gets a charger, and he doesn't have to struggle through permissions of RWA, so for example, if he's a tenant, he has to first go and talk to his landowner. कि आपका flat, you should talk to your society. The society says, why should I talk to a tenant? You go talk to your landowner first. So all these hassles, people just said, I don't want to buy a car. I don't want to buy a two-wheeler, EV two-wheeler. This is hassle. I can easily buy a petrol, diesel, hybrid. My life is sorted. So if when you broaden up this topic, please include this part. And another thing that I also wanted to highlight is, sir, you said that there are 13 chargers in Pune. What we should do to improve the visibility of that is something that we have to work on, because it's not just advertisements or apps. If there can be a physical, for example, when you see a BPCL petrol pump, from distance you know that there is petrol available there. Today, whenever there are charging stations, and this is for all CPOs also, most of our consumers, for example, I'll give you an example. Some of us might have traveled from Pune to Kolhapur or Pune to Satara. Do you know that there are 68 fast charging stations from Pune to Kolhapur? How many of us have seen them? 68 fast charging stations. This is what the data says. This is what the data gathered from all CPOs says. We would have noticed a single one. Unless somebody has told us that there वहाँ पे charger है, we wouldn't have seen a single charger. And there are 68 fast chargers lying there and being used. It's not the only people who use those are EV owners who struggle through multiple apps to find the charger. But a layman like us, we will never know that there is a charger there. So if we can improve visibility of those chargers through some means, it can be a standardized signage. For example, we have all the municipal corporations or NHAI having signages that there is a food court available here, there is a parking available here, there is a washroom available here, there is a charger available here. If that can be made available, that increases visibility for non-EV consumers also. People who are not actively looking for chargers. So these were my 2 cents, and I'll continue to add on the data part, sir. We in the open collaboration initiative, what we said is, with all CPOs that we are working with, charge point operators, we said if you want where our EVs are getting parked, where they are getting charged, we are ready to share that with you on a MOU basis, so that there is a binding from CPO that they will use this data for right purpose. So if you want for your planning, we are happy to work with you, that because we know where our EVs are getting charged, where those are getting parked, that will help you to plan your infra better.
I think RMI can throw a little light on, because several round of meetings we had on the EV cells, especially regarding the residential area. I think 20% has been reserved now. The CREDI has been informed. The permissions will not be given unless they have a reserved parking. A general open parking, you need not have a charger right at your parking place, but an area dedicated for charging. I think you can share.
Percent of the parking slots will have to be allocated for EV, but that is going forward. So
Yeah,
today,
that's what, new buildings. What
today
about
the,
existing
today
buildings?
the challenge that he's saying is the existing buildings, and I think even in those moving forward 20, that issues like tenant landlord and all will continue to persist.
So this 20% is actually in the general area reserved. So anybody can come and charge as long as they are the residents.
So the challenge is that, what is the core reason, I'll change, it's somebody else's mic.
Go ahead.
So the core reason why people are moving towards e-mobility, of course, we hope that they are looking at sustainability, but it's also lower cost of operation. Today, if I have to exclusively charge my vehicle on a public charging, we heard Maharashtra government 13.25 rupees, which is still higher than domestic tariff of what, 4 rupees unit, 5, 6, 7 rupees. It's almost double, right? So if I have to, if even if I go in society, RW will then levy me a charge of maybe 14, 15, 16, and then at that point it doesn't become viable. Why people, and again the second point we are saying about having the separate meter, that's also a double-edged sword, because today I am tapping into a residential meter and charging, so it's not possible for discount to figure out where I'm using that power. But the minute I give it an allocated this, then I am exposed to whatever tariff is going to be put once it matures in industry.
Do you want to add? We are going to take a tea break, but yeah.
Just give you a brief update about what PMC is doing basically. So I'm Swapnil, I work as an associate for RMI. So let's start with public charging stations first. So today, I mean, as we speak, there are 21 public charging stations that have been installed by PMC. 82 locations are allocated.
Maybe there is some disturbance.
Yeah, so as of today, there are 21 charging stations that are operational, and I think someone raised a very pertinent point about installing charging stations at locations which should have higher footfall, so that there is a larger utilization of chargers. So what PMC has done with in that respect is most of the locations have been identified either where there is multi-level parking space available, gardens, auditoriums. So where there is the people have I mean a lot of time, spare time, where they can charge their vehicles for 4 hours, 5 hours. So 82 such locations have been identified, and within the next 2 to 3 months, all the charging stations will be up and running. Currently speaking, this tender was only floated for 3-wheelers and 4-wheelers. There is a different tender being floated for 2-wheelers separately. So with 3-wheelers, what they did was not the whole idea was not only to focus towards private transportation, as rickshaws play a very key role with respect to intermediate public transport. So PMC has also started giving out additional incentives for the drivers who purchase electric vehicles. For example, if you get currently you get FAME subsidy and state level subsidy. So Pune was the first urban local body to give subsidy for purchasing 3-wheelers, and the whole idea was not only to from the environmental perspective, but to increase the earning potential of the drivers as well, because it makes economic sense since their daily usage is roughly between 150 to 200 kilometers. So that is one thing. And with respect to you pointed it out rightly that the challenge is about the installing charging stations at existing residential places. So when it comes to new ones, the PMC has already amended the building bylaws where they have mandated provision of EV ready. I mean, not installing charging station, but the buyer, yeah, the buyer should have an option to install. So 25 to 30% as mentioned by the state EV policy has been implemented by PMC, but installing them at the current residential is a big challenge, and we also get these queries in every single EV cell meeting that the residents are facing quite a problem, especially from the housing societies. So we are trying to figure it out, but it has become a big
So
challenge.
what I would suggest is we can look at it very differently, rather than for example solid waste management. Can you switch off? So for solid waste management, for example, is a classical example how it can be implemented at society level. If every society, existing society, is mandated to install a community charger, as sir mentioned, where you have a dedicated space, a parking space, and you can start with one parking space. One parking space, one charger, sufficient for at least 4 to 5 EVs in that society to begin with. And once 5 EVs come, there will be natural traction. The society will see economic benefits in it. The CPO, the charge point operators, will see money in it, and then it will grow naturally. But as a mandate, if we can just say that one community charger in each society of, let's say, 50 flats plus, or 100 flats plus, that will make the situation easy. Like solid waste management, it is a carrot and stick. You have to mandate it, only then it will happen.
I would like to comment on
Does
it.
such a mandate exist right now?
Just a minute. I think the problem raised by Tata regarding the EV connection in parking lot is a really matter of concern, and two things I will like to share in that. I think the power supply available in a parking lot is a common connection of society. So laying a cable from transformer to the connection in parking lot is a real challenge that's happening. And for that, ROW is there. You have to dig. Some civil work is involved. Cabling work is involved. So two things can be done. One thing, this can be taken care of in development stage only. In construction stage, we can have a right of way taken care of through cabling infrastructure, ducts and all. And second thing, what I think is we can consider some multi-party model so that power supply is available in parking lot. Only thing is I cannot derive it as it is a common connection. So I can take a supply from common connection only, and it can be given as some multi-party or MR10, some sort of connection for which separate metering can be done, and that already for DF, distribution franchisee or multi-party connections are being given by DISCOM. So if that model can be worked out, then there is no need of laying separate cable from transformer to parking lots.
So what has happened is Tata Power, our sister company, they have started this model of community charging. So community charging, as I said, one parking space allocated to this, the connection goes to only that parking space from the meter, and then residents scan and pay. It's like your public charger. You scan, pay for your residential use, and because you have EV connection available at back end, your tariff at the end is around 10 to 11 rupees, and which is not 14, 15 rupees where he will have to shell more than what is required. But the challenge again is RWSS में ये क्यों करूँ? Why should I get into this? There has to be a whip saying that कि आपको करना है तभी जाके ये ecosystem बढ़ेगा.
This is equally applicable to even RTS also. The societies and common things. पूना में इतना बड़ा potential है, फिर भी 13,000 सिर्फ connection हुए हैं RTS में. जहाँ पे हम लोग 1 करोड़ का सपना देख रहे हैं, देश में 13,000 हुए. क्यों? क्योंकि सोसाइटी जगह नहीं देता है. In my own self, my society doesn't permit me to install any RTS on the common place. So we MSCDCL are ready. As sir mentioned, कॉमनचं कनेक्शन आपण तिथे देतोय. त्यांनी एक VTPच्या याच्यात एकदा मला बोलवलं होतं त्यांनी. I was there as a speaker, and I gave them the detailed presentation ki you just have one slot wherein you can have SPCS, semi public charging station. So facilities are there. It is the consumers awareness which is very low. We all need to work on that platform to increase the penetration.
Yeah, I think I am Dr. Prashant. As Pankaj sir has said, it's EV is a consumer, and we are discussing about right to charge. So I want to go one step further. Can we have right to sell? Because a EV vehicle is also a generator for that matter. So if he's charging at the night, and if he can go to public place, and if he want to sell that power, it can be also available. So right, net metering for rooftop, we can have net metering for EV also to make it more viable, because it's an earning source for him. He can do arbitrage, charge at night and sell it in the daytime. And in the public places, if I am charging, if I am able to sell that power for 1 hour, I can even earn my EV or my premium can go down. So I think going right to charge, you can add Shantanu right to sell also. In the policy we are making right to charge and right to sell. So we can have net metering concept for EV.
To explore.
Yeah. You stole some of the points that I wanted to make. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, I mean, that is one area that we should really look at from the longer term perspective, although the infrastructure is not ready right now. But eventually, yes, all the EVs are basically batteries on wheels. So we got to make use of those definitely. We'll go and take a break. If anybody wants to add, Shantanu, anything that you want to add?
Just one input, right? EV to grid. So MEDA is doing one demo project in Pune itself of smart charging stations. So that smart charging stations will interact with grid, and accordingly it will send power back to grid. That demo project we are doing here.
Really interesting will be. Where is? Yeah.
I will.
Oh,
Pune. I'll add one point. So as manufacturers of EV chargers, we are trying to solve the problem, and to a certain extent, for housing societies, all our chargers typically talk to the transformer or talk to the main incomer, wherever you apply that accessory. And we have built a feature where chargers operate only in the available power. So during peak demand times, morning, evening, chargers can be deprioritized. And at night, typically when people are sleeping, charging can happen very comfortably. And this is across all our chargers. So we are trying to solve the problem to a certain way, but of course, eventually you need more power when all parking lots are filled with cars, and you need transformers and civil and wiring all. But yeah.
I have just one question, because we have not really studied this topic in much detail. Is there any sort of master plan that is available that in Pune in the next 3 years, this is the EV charging load that we are expecting, and these are tentative locations. Because I think from MSCDCL's point of view, developing that kind of master plan is very essential. Otherwise, expecting them to be able to release connection in 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks is really, I think, asking. I mean, you can go by what is there in rules, but unless we collectively as all stakeholders are in a position to provide at least a high level master plan, it will be really challenging. Otherwise that investment may not happen, or there will be excess investment. So is there a possibility of developing such master plan, or is it too challenging? Is it too sort of speculative, so to say, to develop that master plan? I don't know. I just want to throw out that thought.
So there is a national mission plan available of 30%. There are also focus available for what will be market size by that time. We also know the current distribution of vehicles, let's say what Maharashtra or Pune contributes to the national footprint. So on a very broad percentage contribution estimation model, that can be done. But what that will do is it will give you number of total EVs that will come. I think the challenge they are facing is not number, it is zoning. So they want to know that in the Senapati Bapat Road, how many people will have EVs? How to get onto that is going to become a very big estimation challenge.
That's exactly what I was pointing out to, because that's what their challenge is. You know, unless you tell them that, okay, within this 1 square kilometer area, you need 2 megawatt load, I think it's going to be very challenging
Sir,
for
but-
them.
sir,
So
but-
just one. So if, even if not the home charging sort of estimation, can we have, let's say, public charging infrastructure that is required or likely to come up in certain pockets? I mean, we are not saying it needs to be actual, you know, this survey number and this location, this street, but at least at a broad level, if we are able to give them, then they can plan much better in terms of what is the capacity. And I think if we all can put together that kind of scheme, that would really help streamlining a lot of these sort of connection issues.
On the similar ground, whatever data we had chosen the main ways. Accordingly, we have a charging station at NCL, we have a charging station at Baner, we have one at Senapati Bapat Road. So whatever was available with us, we have given the best. Still, the consumption is very low. Out of that 18, only 4 are working. So 14 are available right now, but people are not using.
No, definitely there is that issue of feasibility, behavior changing, but we have to work from both ends, I think.
See, also looking at this challenge, what we initiated already with few of the large universities, we have signed up MOUs with MITs, kind of a stuff, to give me a space for my operator to place the charging station inside the campus and encourage the campus to go green for a period of time, and give a special incentives at the end of the year, 2% marks or 5% marks for coming and using the public transportation and using a green mobility inside the campus. So first thing, one of our partners, we are having a meeting with MIT to install few charging stations inside the campus, wherein the operator would operate the first mile, last mile connectivity between Anand Nagar station and MIT. So this is also we are exploring. So as a stakeholders, we should start looking at the potential areas. Let's say 30,000 students in MIT campus alone every day. If I target 10% of the population over a period of next 10 months to 12 months, encouraging them to come in EV, you know, and also give them a space. They have secured place, they have enough of place for charging, and students can keep charging during the day, because 8 hours and 9 hours they're hanging around in the same campus. For them, going into a class and leaving the vehicle charging, I think it makes sense. So if we can identify these large institutions, let's say Symbiosis is there, let's say MITs are there, DY Patils are there, very close to my station. So I'm talking to all of them to give me a little space, so that I not only get a EV operator but a mobility partner as well, so that you discourage people to come into your campus with their own personal vehicles. Like one experiment we did with Garware College, now the prospectus says we don't have parking, we don't want parents to send their children with the vehicles, because my entry exit is right inside the campus. So we have struck a deal with those management and said, you just don't agree to give them parking inside. And street parking, you're penalized. So we're trying to do various experiments, but as a group, if we can come, I think we can influence all these large institutions to encourage the first mile, last mile on a electric mobility plus a charging facility inside the campus. Most of them also have hostels. Okay, so they can charge inside when they are there. So this is what I think we should go to the next level. Yeah, public places, security comes in an issue, availability, then somebody is sparing so much of time, why should I? Okay, so but it's a captive audience is what we should look at it. Okay, so government institutions, large institutions like RTO itself should have couple of, because the amount of time people spend there is pretty good enough.
Absolutely great. Yeah, yeah.
Very last comment. My name is Prashant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Prashant.
Since 2018, we have developed 7 charging stations. The one charging station is first charging station from Pune itself. Tagalpallivar Sab has developed. So MSCDCL has given the very big initiative. But in that case, I recognize that if I charge my two-wheeler vehicle, and if I am on the SB road, if I go to the MSCDCL charging station, then on that charging station, my gun means that plug point of that charger gun and my point, my vehicle point will not be matched. So there will be a universal charger, or you have to specify in that app this charging station is developed for this type of company's vehicle. Means it is a Ola, it is a Uber. So that is the main hurdle. If the customer goes to that charging station and if the charging point is not matched, that male female socket is not matched, he has got anxiety. So the anxiety is that his charging gets reduced and he's got in a big trouble. So that is the basic issue. Another issue is that PMPML and PMC has developed the public charging station. PMPML has developed 7 public charging. And also the PMC has developed the charging stations in the garden, Sambhaji Bagh. But one hurdle is that when we go to the government initiative, means the government has got the public place. So the interface between the app and between our auditing system or the accounting system, that doesn't get matched. So we doesn't know the revenue exactly we get from that public charging station. So that will be the major hurdle. So there should be a universal platform.
Yeah, standardized.
Yeah, the standardized platform should be there. Like Metro has developed one metro, one card, one city, one card. So that should be done. If that should be done, then and the universal charger will be take place, then the charging system will get slow and it will get penetrated in each area. These are the two major issues.
In fact, we work very closely with PMPML.
Yeah.
We got 2 multimodal hubs where the PMPL buses are inside the metro station. Okay. Now, next level, we are asking them to install the charging stations at those multimodal hubs so that your bus don't go back to your depot for charging. You can retain the bus at the metro station the night and be ready for the first train in early morning so that your vehicles are charged. So this is what we're building it. At Civil Code, Swargate. Okay, so this is what we're building. So there is a vision. We have to come together, crack this out somehow, do pilot projects at a captive audiences rather than just Berserk putting in public places, right? And then let people get involved into that environmental process, right?
Absolutely. I think very well said. I think it's a, it's a ecosystem problem. I think all of us got to work together and we got to take a break. We have several, good discussion because you talked about the LCA of EV versus internal combustion engine, and greening of EV charging is going to be really critical, especially from the medium term perspective. So that's an area that we want to discuss post tea break. But yeah, let's take a break. Let's have tea and let's come back in 10 minutes. Thank you. Thank you all for coming back in time. Please do stay back for lunch as well. We will have lunch after another hour. Let's move on to the next topic which we wanted to discuss. Once again, a reminder, whenever you want to talk, just introduce yourself. If you're talking for the first time, please turn your microphone on so that we are able to capture in video as well. And yeah. The next area, I think slightly midterm but maybe urgent as well, is the greening of EV charging. While we know that EV is important from the charging infrastructure readiness perspective, grid integration is important, but are there any other options to make it green is what we want to discuss. And there are multiple options that we have at our disposal. There is green energy open access policy that has brought down the load size to around 100 kW now. There are distributed energy resources are now coming up quite well, especially with the new scheme that the Prime Minister has recently launched. That is going to be useful. So how do we, maybe as the battery prices go down, is that a viable option for supporting charging or providing the energy to the EV charging station? So these are the areas we want to discuss. If any of you have tried any of these things with your own experience, it will be good to hear about that and learn from you. But I'll just stop at this and I'll throw it open if you want to add. Yeah, Ashwin.
Yeah, I think I'm Ashwin from Prayas Energy Group. Just tying up a little bit to the earlier point Shantanu had mentioned about grid infrastructure balancing at a systemic level and this whole new issue of green charging. People rightly mentioned finally it comes down to economics. But as we are seeing, the time of day tariff design as per the new rules is going to flip exactly from a nighttime discount to a nighttime penalty and a daytime discount. Because obviously solar is one of the cheapest sources, and over the next few years you will have this time of day framework extended even to residential. So as the gentleman rightly said, 95% charging happens at home. But if you have a time of day tariff at home which is substantially effective in terms of a 2 rupee, 3 rupee penalty and rebate, so you get a 5 rupee sort of spread, and it is daytime cheaper, then the charging patterns are very likely to change. So the push is definitely towards increasing the renewable energy penetration at the system level, but even for charging. So I think that is a point in terms of, there are short-term issues, but from a sort of medium-term perspective, you are going to see a lot of these trends change. In terms of charging behaviors from nighttime to daytime, if that price differential is enough. So that is also something we should keep in mind, and the emphasis from fleet owners or for others as well, that I just don't want an EV but I want my charging to be green as well. So I think that is also an issue which we really need to take care of in terms of planning, as Shantanu was saying, in the medium term.
Anybody wants to, has anybody tried, setting up solar, using the EV charging, using that, the economics of it, the challenges of it? Any input on that? Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Zunzara. So again, we are into designing, developing of charging solutions. So we have working on some pilot in Rajasthan on this, and what we see is like the cost of the battery that will be required for the solar kind of a thing. That is one of the major costs. And think if something alternative comes up, then definitely we can better utilize. Especially we are trying to see if this kind of thing can work out in off-grid kind of a situation where it will enable the people there to adopt EV. So that's what we are trying to do. Yeah.
I think from the technology perspective, this solar PV's efficiency has to be improved. I think we have to work on that area, and because that's going to enable. The second is on the recycling of the batteries to be used for the storage system. I think that circular economy, when it starts, the cost will come down. I know this is not something which is part of this, relevant to this, but a cell designed for India for storage application and for EV application, the architecture of the cells has a tremendous potential. With the silicon anode and this, your charging number of charging cycles is increasing from let's say today of 4,000 to 10,000 to 15,000, and cost is also coming down. So I think those elements are also important to get this. Apart from this, geothermal and those things are definitely there. But I think solar for EV is one of the potential, and these two things, reducing the battery cost.
Yeah,
So,
sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. When you're talking about greening the EV charging, I think open access is the only way out today. Till the same place should not have the solar rooftop or anything. We can have the because as per the new policy of green energy open access, which is released in Maharashtra, up to 100 kilowatt and multiple users. That means if I have the same owner and the same circle, if he has got total connectivity of 100 kilowatt, then he can go for green energy open access. So he can install solar anywhere in Maharashtra and use that power for his own charging station used at that place. So I think that can be a power by displacement. It's not directly using the power; it's power by displacement. So that can be one way of greening the EV. Other way, as MSCDCL has come out with the green tariff, they are paying 66 paisa more and taking green tariff and then declaring. I think that's only paperwork because they are already taking power and then they issue that certification that your consumption is totally from green sources. So that is one of the way of having green energy charging station. So I think going forward, it may evolve, combine some solar rooftop and then having charger, but that will take time because the loads are not continuous. So I think today open access, green energy open access is the only issue which can immediately possible for greening the EV charging stations.
Sir, I'd like to share my experience. I'm from Tata Power. I take care of the public projects. So in Mumbai, we have converted all 100% chargers to 100% green energy. So that is the facility available. We can avail the green tariff by adding to the tariff, and we have declared them as a green tariff projects. Regarding the solar project, we have 40 kilowatt rooftop at one of our receiving stations. There we are planning to convert the chargers into 100% green energy, but the battery cost is the prohibitive factor. So we are going for the second life battery. We are exploring that option.
Recently, MERC has declared a few policies. As mentioned by Prashant sir, the green energy open access, the other is group net metering. So things will change. Group net metering is a logical decision wherein within the utility, if I have one connection at Amravati, one at Yavatmal, one at Pune, one at Aurangabad, then I can install solar at one place and utilize it at all the locations. That is the group net metering. Green energy open access has a limitation of only within the circle. So we are also waiting for the implementation guideline. Hopefully by the month end or from next year 1st April it will be operational. So it will definitely help in the greening of the EVs.
Sir, from the metro perspective, because there is also some maybe space available on metro stations. So are you thinking any plans, any possibility that you see at metro stations to have solar and not only EV charging, but I'm sure overall your overall consumption will also be able to green.
Pune Metro, except for the underground stations, all metro stations have rooftop solar panels already installed, wherein 60% of our utility for that particular station is used by the solar. This will enable us to keep the fares as low as 10 rupees and 15 rupees. That's part of the vision which is already implemented in Pune. Our depots would have solar, and our Metro Bhavan is going to be one of the green buildings in the country. Nagpur Metro Bhavan has already been awarded since past 3 years continuously the best green building in the country. So do we have here in Civil Court. You see the construction which is coming up, that's the Metro Bhavan. We are all going to shift right on the station and move with the metro to attend to various official requirements. That's the whole concept. So all stations are already enabled with solar, and we use the solar power for the particular station. In case of any excess power, we transfer it to the next station or that station or any of the workshops or the offices required. So it's already in place. and if you all want to see them, we can show them. Okay, including our depot ranges. Recently, we also had the entire depot rooftop is with solar panels. So, see, the part of the vision is to use 60% of the consumption locally with the solar. So that's already there in place.
I have,
Yeah.
I have one suggestion is that if we are using the lithium ion battery for since 3 to 5 years, then it will, if it gets the cell gets damaged, then it can be used as a fuel generator. So by using the solar, we can charge that lithium ion batteries, which has got the strength, means the solar the cell pack in that battery gets reduced. So that strength can be used for the 2-wheeler, 3-wheeler and 4-wheeler public charging station. That concept should also be done, because if the lithium ion battery the cell gets damaged and the company is not willing to replace that whole battery pack, then that battery can't be destroyed, it can be used. So by using that, we can use a mobile generator like a lithium ion battery, since similar to that diesel generator, where the power will not be available, then we can use that diesel generator. Similarly, on that ground, if we use the lithium ion battery which is reusable, and that can be used as the public charging station. Yeah.
So we have not explored a thought of using a solar for the EV charging stations. At the stations, we have not thought of it honestly. Since we started asking the OEMs and the operators to come to connections from discoms and then start activating. This is what we have done. I need to check with my solar team technically if I can draw the power and give to my EV operators at the parking places and station. Yes, I think this is something new. We will take it up very soon.
I think one input when Nagpur Metro was exploring solar, and then there was a problem that they wanted to have it more than 1 megawatt, and net metering was not allowed for more than 1 megawatt at that time. But if green open access rules are notified in Maharashtra and if they are implemented soon, then it is up to 5 megawatt. So it will be beneficial for them.
PMPML,
Get it on video because it's also important that we share it with you.
Yeah, PMPML is also installing a rooftop solar, elevated solar rooftop in the Baner depot. So that 1.5 megawatt of that solar can be used for the buses. So we are experimenting that. It will be done in within 3 months. So if it is done, then it will be implemented on all other depots like Wagoli, Pune station, Nigdi, Begarai Nagar. All the open spaces can be utilized. So that is our main purpose.
Yeah, actually PNPML depots are a best place to do the charging, and I'm sure that a lot of activities are already happening there. Because then the battery sizes can also be controlled, because the bus plies only certain distance and it makes multiple trips, so it always goes to a depot and takes a stop there. So it is a good idea to, and I think we are already doing a lot of things on that front.
Sir, one experiment should be done. We doing the solar with the offline system. Means we have to install the batteries, and that through that batteries we charge the vehicle. Then we will notify. Then we will be able to see the results, whether the solar is feasible for the charging station or the charging vehicles or not. If it is a net metering, then we can't get the results. If it is in the offline mode, means we store the EV vehicles, then we know how much units will be, how are the efficiency. Because with the efficiency of MECDCL power supply, the efficiency of the vehicle is very good. It's far too good. But with the help of solar, it can't be detected. So that should be also be done. That exercise.
I shared some example.
Yeah.
When before I think before you arrived. Using battery storage in offline mode for charging trucks also. So I'm sure that same solution will be suitable for bus.
So two things. So first thing is that when you are telling about green charging, but the solar is going to the grid. So there are financial engineering like green open access, green tariff, and group net metering proposed. All three are directly you are not getting the solar to the charging station. So these are one way which is already happening. The other way is solar charging directly. If you heard about the budget in 2020-21, the finance minister announced about it, but it was not taken off. The reason is not taken off because solar charging is similar to the rooftop solar. Rooftop solar is also not taken off greatly like the grid scale solar in India. Grid scale, because rooftop 40 gigawatt was planned, less than 4 gigawatt is installed. So here the first reason is the installation of solar panel for your charging station is very small. It's in kilowatt level. None of the developers are interested, the first thing. And the consumers are very small. It will only kick off when the government buildings, they have a charging stations. If they can install rooftop solar for their building, which can be, because then day load in most of the buildings, irrespective of Maharashtra anywhere, is low, because lighting is mostly now new buildings which are coming in the glass floors and other thing, their lighting loads are limited. So this solar charging, which will be installed in the rooftops of all these commercial establishments or maybe a government building or maybe hospitals, they have a two option. One is if they have over solar, they can go through the net metering, they can dispatch to the grid, and the load dispatch center will have a issues, like there will be multiple inputs will come. The solution is that they can have the solar charging stations where they can use that solar. So this is need to be encouraged by the state authorities. Then only solar plus charging, which is independent, I'm telling. So directly solar to the charging stations will be grown up. Because all India level it was not successful for like 2 years after the announcement of 500 crore in the budget also. But there is other way when it is successful, when it have a like power quality issue or there is a disturbance in power reliability. Yes, maybe Pune or Maharashtra, I will not take the states. Many places where the power reliability is a issue, there is a voltage fluctuations or there may be a power outage in most of the days in tier 2 cities where there is a aspirational young masses are coming. It may be not be Pune exactly, but nearby cities like Chakan, or it may be Kanpur, Hosur and other second tier industrial belt. So there the power reliability is issue, and no one will put their 10 lakhs plus cars in the electricity grid when there is a voltage fluctuations. So at that there is a business case for the CPOs. They can use solar directly, and they can have a actually hybrid solutions. When there is a no solar, with the solar output is limited, then they directly take from the grid. Or when there is a grid issues, you can take from solar. This is a pure business case. Now it is coming at the third one, when battery comes into the picture. Battery comes into picture when you think about battery as an independent asset only for your charging. Across the globe, it is never be a business case. And if you think your batteries will only serve to your charging station and you will get money of it, not today, after 10 years also you will not be able to get business. That's a fact. And if you wait for a better battery technology after 10 years, then also you will never start a business. So whatever battery available currently in India, that's the best one. That's you have to consider. Then you have to do the revenue stacking. What is the revenue stacking? That battery, it may be a second life battery, it may be a new battery ecosystem. You have to put a 10 megawatt or 5 megawatt. That's a business case you have to analyze. Okay, I may get 5 vehicles in a day. My solar plant, solar rooftop solar has at 40 megawatt. Out of that, okay, I have an excess of energy of 8 megawatt, so that I may a battery of 5 megawatt. I decided based on my calculations. Now you have to find out what are the multiple revenues your battery can give. One revenue definitely the charging from the charging stations, but at the same time you have to tell them, okay, if there is a power outage, my battery can give to that building when there is a power outage instead of diesel genset of 22 rupees to that buildings, because most of the Pune buildings have a diesel genset backup. Can that battery backup can give to the residential society, give additional money? Third one. Now NTPC coal plants or maybe Hazira and other combined gas cycle plants are getting 30 rupees, 35 rupees for the grid frequency management and other things. Can this battery asset can provide to the grid where maybe the load dispatch center and other can pay additional revenues? So we have to make the business case for the same battery asset which will be used for the rooftop solar for serving to these charging stations. So this concept node need to be created. The third way, the easiest way everyone is doing, like which I mentioned, like green open access or net metering or green tariff. Second easiest way, how we can do solar plus charging directly. And the third way is about the batteries. Three things just want to mention.
Sir, one suggestion to the sir that our honorable CMD, Mr. Singh sir, has appointed me and my other two colleagues on the PM e-bus Yojana, which is of 10,000 buses to the rural areas. And in the rural areas, when I perform the operation for the Kas Patar near Satara, I doesn't get the supply of 11 kV. So I have mentioned that point in that, and they have given the supply buckets to the Latur, Jalgaon, Nashik. So Nashik is a very good belt, but in case of Latur, there should not be any sufficient supply. They have given them the 100 buses. So 100 buses, how they charge means the infrastructure that will be created. So in that case, the solar solution is a very good solution, rooftop or elevated. Also with the help of batteries, lithium ion batteries, they can store and they can use that. Means if there is a terminal, bus terminal near that Latur station, so that that generator bus along with the batteries go to that station, charge the vehicle, and then that bus will be deployed to the route. That is also one case. So I have suggested so many things to them. So sir has a right.
And also just to tell you about prices and technology, prices has been fallen a lot. Like if you think about everything, you cannot do anything. So if you just think about the current battery prices, which is around $67 per cell level, on pack level it will be around 200. Then your levelized cost of energy from a solar plus storage as a whole of system is less than 13 rupees. Is less than 13 rupees. And if you are not getting it, let me know. I will ensure you will get it. Because 13 rupees. So 13 rupees if sufficient, then you should now start solar plus batteries as a LCOE system where you can get the energy for. And we should not think about, okay, where is everything is reliable grid and everything will start from there. We have to find out the cases as he mentioned. So where we should start such things.
One thing I want to ask is, do you think swappable batteries will help in this scenario?
Yes, the swapping stations can act as the same thing, but now swappable operators and CPOs are different entities. If you have the same entity, you can do that game. But in India, currently, most of the swappable battery operators are different entities and charging infrastructure are different entities. But if you have a MOU, and because in they have multiple of 16 usually. So if they have a 5 to 6 batteries which is on floatable, and they have 10 batteries in the system which is on whole, like the 2 kilowatt each around 20 kilowatt, and if you can connect few of the swappable stations, that can work as the charging stations too. But that will also increase their revenue, because swapping stations will get more money if the batteries are charging and discharging. So the fundamental of business of batteries, if you are more charging, more discharging, you get more revenue. So that's the additional revenue for them also.
The OEM should come into the swapping station. If the OEM come into the swapping station, then that business will get enhanced. If Ola Uber has got the swapping station, then they know the battery reality. Then they can use that battery, reusable battery. So that can be done. Otherwise, the charging operator is different and the OEM is different. His concepts is different. Their concepts are different. They are they are like a commercial, but the OEM should be in that field also.
So, sorry, when you are talking about large charging station along with the solar, the regulatory issue which comes in place is that there is a standby power requirement, because if you are connected to the grid and if solar is not available, then obviously you are charging the battery with the grid power. So at that time, and sometime you are delivering more power than your capacity of solar, because batteries are also operating and solar is also operating. So there these issues are discussed at length at CRC and MERC as well. They are saying that it's two issues. One is whether this place is a consumer or a generator, that you have to identify. And second is that if you are requiring standby power and if you are not taking, because then you have to take certain contact demand. So then minimum contact demand has to be paid by you. And if you are charging and suddenly require standby power, then the temporary charges will be applicable. So making it the economical viable case is still a far, maybe we have to wait for some time till the utility and everybody, the regulatory commission has to come out as a viable solution, because it's lucrative on paper, but practically it's very difficult to implement because of so many ifs and buts in that.
I think so. So I think the challenges are there, but I think as the prices are falling down, and I think with the new rules that are coming, especially group metering and some of these things, I think it will definitely create a possibility for the CPOs to pull their charging stations together and try to get the green, at least the first two areas that you talked about, the first two preferences. But I think just in the interest of time, I want to anyway open the next discussion, which is around the next set of trends that we are seeing in the EV charging, because one is the greening of it. But if I can show you one slide over there, what he talked about is providing the services, providing the flexibility services to the grid, which means that what is happening in a bidirectional flow, what is happening with the the frequency stabilization and the voltage stabilization services. So there are a lot of those things also coming up. And of course, this is slightly longer term, I understand that. But from the charging business perspective, and we have some OEMs for charging stations, also the battery management systems, and the bidirectionality of it, the impact that will have on OEMs, the EV OEMs. So I want to just again get your views about how far are we, number one, into all these things, and number two is, if you want to we are already late in a way, because a lot of other Western countries have been doing a lot of pilots in this space. It's great that if you are doing something in Pune, but what all other ways that we can expedite this? If any thoughts, any ideas that you would have seen, you would have read, some other case studies learning from other countries, that will be really interesting to hear, because then we can learn from this and we can try to expedite this, because for a country like India, where we are building all this infrastructure, we are kind of skipping some of the in between steps, and we are building this infrastructure afresh. So while we are doing it, if we can do it the best possible way and look at EVs right from day one as the energy storage devices as well, that is really going to help us. So any thoughts and ideas are most welcome if you want to share on this, or any learnings from your past experiences.
So I think one of the fundamental thing which needs to be done first of all is to understand the how the communication is going to happen. We have a CCS2, we have a PLC communication in that. That whether it is going to connect with our grid or we are going to come up with another communication protocol. I think that we have to finalize. Without this, this whole idea is not going to work. Bidirectional charging technically is possible. It's expensive. It's going to go on the vehicle. It's going to make the charger almost 2 times more. And today we are not making chargers in India. Everything is coming from outside. So I think that an area has to be done, because this will require a mass adoption at both the side, right? So these are my some of the points. But communication protocol and standardization finalization is the key, which is not happening in my opinion. Should be done as soon as possible.
Sure. So the OCPP protocol that has already government has adopted and everybody is following. So is that the right way to move forward? Are there any other experiences on that?
Our particular experience on PLC communication is that the controllers are quite expensive, and we should really look at from that point of view. It's almost like a monopoly for some controllers manufacturer to give this PLC communication. I think that we need to really look before we go forward.
Ashwin, Shantanu, anything that you want to add on this part, especially from the aggregator's role as well, because there are things like demand response, for example, where other countries are actually aggregating the demand, trying to work with managing the load, again, as somebody was saying, load balancing. So when there is a power at a lower rate, lower tariff, you can use that effectively. So all those things are being tried out. I don't know how much India is working on that front.
No, that demand management is already discussed at few forums, where peak shaving is also possible, so that you can shift the load and then use it. The arbitrage is one of the things. You can charge in the night and use it in the day per time. In fact, the aggregator and the ancillary services which I am talking about is a large solar plant. Suppose he has, and he can install the batteries. He can be a power supplier for in as an ancillary. But those ancillary services regulation what is available today is not talking about solar plus battery as a combined together. They only have hydro or thermal plant as a ancillary services, but those are not ready when it is required. So then 100% of the time availability when in case of emergency, that's the aggregator's role, and he has to be sufficiently paid for that. So then he can thought about being aggregator and also as a ancillary services. So that challenge, I think, at regulatory level, it is being discussed, and hopefully it gets sorted out so that we can also move to aggregator and ancillary services model.
I'd like to come in here. I think for a country like India, concepts like V2G and distributed power is a little bit far away. Until cars cross the 800-kilometer range, that's where it starts becoming practical, where as a consumer I am comfortable giving out 200 kilometers back to the grid when I don't need it. I have some anxiety to give it if for lower range cars. And the core part of it is a very stable grid in the remotest regions of India. So until that comfort is not there to a consumer, this will never be practical. So I think there is some time for this, but like you said, since we're doing it from the start, we can implement a lot of things which will sort of be the foundations for the future. So those things can sort of be a platform for, and specifically for people like us who make these chargers, development is very expensive. So we don't want to invest in certain technology until there is a clear market and a policy for it down the road. So I think probably go slow but stable. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, if I can just comment, I think just thinking again, totally agree that this is 5-7 years ahead, but we should start rather than after 5-7 years still be in the situation that we have not even had a pilot and not seen what the teething on ground troubles are. From that perspective, another larger thought is, the EV revolution has started, but it will be only as green green the grid is, and the grid can only absorb a certain amount of renewables, and a tipping point beyond that is only with the help of batteries or storage. So they are very complementary. If you look at the battery manufacturing landscape, around 90% is for EVs. So the stationary battery storage is not driving the battery manufacturing, but batteries are critical for stability of the grid and balancing. So both help each other. The more batteries there are, the greener the grid will be, the better the EV can perform. And the more reliable the grid is, you have that certainty that power will always be there, voltage quality issues won't be there. So I think there is a way of both ecosystems helping each other, and probably V2G may be far off and more expensive, but the second life thing, because the volume of batteries in EVs is going to be nearly 10x that of what is needed actually from whatever modeling we have done. The amount of batteries needed for stationary applications is very limited. So once this 10-year life cycle of cars, trucks, buses ends, and by 27-29 we have a significant scale of second life batteries, that is where I think we can be really ready to not only integrate much higher levels of RE with second life batteries, but then also do these kinds of pilots on V2G and so on and so forth.
So just to add what is happening, so technically possible, I just accept on the first one, technically it is happening across the globe, is possible. It is only possible in India when the business case or market will develop. There is no market, because if a charging station want to sell to the grid and they don't get appropriate money from the grid, because it doesn't happen with a TOD tariff of 4 rupees or 5 rupees. That's the first thing. So appropriate market mechanism is required. The first point what he mentioned, now storage plus solar is officially by CRC is acceptable for ancillary services, but project is not happening. It is accepted within last 1 year, when we worked for 9 years. Now, but solar plus storage is not participating because they are not getting the appropriate revenue. Similarly, vehicle to grid is only possible when they will get appropriate revenue from the grid. Then only the companies will put money on doing this. The first thing. Second, about the second life of batteries, was not a successful story till date. The reason was different. The reason was, just to tell you, all the EV companies tried. Like when I went to 2016 to Mercedes-Benz after Tesla Powerwall, there was around 70 companies. They taken from the first life of batteries from the vehicle, and they started doing the power walls type of small capacity for low power applications. But none of them were able to sell. One of the company, Mercedes-Benz, they created a company called Mercedes-Benz Energy for the second life of EV batteries for the stationary application. They closed the company within 2 years. The reason was is different. The reason was when they bought the battery was bought for a vehicle maybe in 2014 or 15. The battery price was $8,000. Then after 5 years in 2018, when they come, or 19, they come for the second life, the real new battery price has fallen down to $300 or for $250. So the second life of batteries, when you try to sell from 800 to 100, the stationary application will tell, okay, the new battery is available at 200, why I will take you. So that was a different reason. But now the prices somehow stabilized. So now the second life batteries have a use case. I am actually part of the MOFCC committee on on CPCB EPR registration, and also on the BIS. Now we are creating, because now the problem is batteries already started getting, and these are not EV batteries but batteries from the telecom tower. In 2014, when like Reliance Jio given a bid of $4.5 billion for lithium ion, these batteries now started coming to the market for second usage. But the issue is that before using second, like in a battery pack, if there is 18 cells, out of that which cells are damaged, if someone is good, before using it in stationary, there is a testing procedure need to be done, otherwise it will make out fire. That testing procedure is not there, may not be only in India, across the globe. Now BIS is creating a committee where they were creating the standards for the testing before using the second life. So second life is good for most of the stationary application, because stationary applications are not more on power application, it's more on energy side. So that will the first help for the vehicle to grid application. Second one is about individual consumers for vehicle to grid is very far away. Like he mentioned about 8,000 kilometers battery range when you use a battery of 70 kilowatt hour or 80 kilowatt hour. That's actually may take the product, like vehicle, that type of vehicles is not there in India. It may take another 20 years. Which type of vehicle now is good for the vehicle to grid is like fleets. You may have a 13 kilowatt battery in a vehicle, but if you have a fleet operator like Blue Smart, or if you have a IT offices where you are using 30 buses for your employee transportation, and all are EVs. If individual have around 40 to 50 kilowatt hour combinedly of all buses, so that's the case. But as I told, technically everything is possible, only the market mechanism is need to be there. Because from the, if you consider the point of view of the grid is still have the 20 years back, the grid's point of view was energy access, how many people I can give the connection. Now their view is about more on the how more RE and other things we can integrate. They have to be a view of more about the reliability, resiliency. If that comes to the priorities for the grid, then this will get money. This futuristic will get money. Money is the only bottleneck.
Sir, for the peak load support and tariffs, we have got the MECDCL tariff from 2018. The unit rate is 4.93. Then it will increase up to 5.63. Now it is 6.90. Means MECDCL has a demand load, so that's why they are increasing the tariff. And we are utilizing it in such a way that we are charging our electric bus in the night from 10 to 6. So there we get the tariff benefit. Means from that 6.90 we got the credit of 1.5 rupees. And in the peak time, so from morning 9 to 12 and from evening 6 to 10, the tariff gets increased by 0.80 paisa or 1.10 paisa. So MECDCL has designed that tariff in such a good way that it will be enhance the SUVs like us. In the ST case, means MSRTC case, they have given the tariff, means they are their operator like Oletra, EVY, they are paying the bills and they are charging the vehicles in the daytime also. So means that kilometer rate, that means the STUs gets backbone, it gets destroyed. Otherwise there will not be any monitoring system. And I request to all bodies so that there should be a energy monitoring system, energy auditing system for the two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, for our bus also. If I charge one 12-meter bus, it will charge from 20% to 100%, it will consume 325 units. So that 325 units, whether it is actually consumed, and actually the bus says that it will be a regenerative braking. So that audit should be done. That means there should be a supreme authority. That audit should be done. That fire safety audit should also be done, because our electric depot is just like a time bomb. There is not a space when we charge the 110 vehicles one at a time, means 45 vehicles are charging, my 45 electric bus is charging, there will be almost 2 to 2.5 meter difference is there. And if that lithium ion gets burned, if that gets fired, then there will not be any provision, means we should not pour the water into it. There should be a special carbon dioxide cylinders, there should be a safety features. Till that day, the Olectra future or the EVY which we have got, that bird doesn't get fired. So that will be the case, but that will not be the case in case of Tata Motors, in case of Ashok Leyland, in case of JBM. All the vehicles get burned, so that should not be done. In our case, we have got the supreme product maybe, or their fire system is also very good. Their thermal runaway BMS are also very good, but that should be monitored, sir. There should be a single dashboard, and that dashboard should be seen to each and every identity in the EV, those roles, means those peoples in that EV zone, they should continuously real time, they should check the dashboard so that they get the latest update, practical updates.
Yeah, great. I think safety is definitely an issue that we need to look at, especially for the charging stations as well. So good. Any
Sorry, on the grid readiness for receiving such flexible services, this is very important point, because grid they have started, as we are increasing the penetration of green energy into the grid, they have started working against it as a grid operator, because the grid support charges were discussed for rooftop solar. Somehow it is not implemented because they have increased at 2000 to 5000 megawatt or so, but that is in discussion now. The moment we have large penetration, they will start grid operating charges, grid support charges. Second is forecasting mechanism, which they have started for larger 10 megawatts and more. So we are talking about ancillary services or aggregator, then he will have to face that forecasting mechanism. And the FBSM, for final balancing and settlement mechanism, which is there in Maharashtra, which is peculiar. Other where it is frequency, but here it is on the direct between 3-4 utilities. So there he will be able. Sometime it has happened that rather than getting any money for generation, he has to pay the penalty to the grid operator. So making it more difficult for viability. So I think grid acceptance for the green energy, that has to be worked out, because there are some RTC project which has come up now along with the solar, and along with them they can have partly thermal or partly hydro or partly storage, something of that. But that is only pilot project. Few projects are there, and they can ensure the RTC power availability and schedulable power. For solar and other things, schedulable power is a big challenge for them. So if they add storage to it, then the viability goes away, and there is a burden of all these charges coming into picture. So I think 360-degree views is required. One way the operator or the grid charging facility management people and all, they want EV to get into the market. The same time, the utility also has to be welcoming that. I think that has to happen. We go forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. We all agree this is slightly further away from where we are right now, but nonetheless, we still have to try out some pilots, learn from it, and we try to avoid any pitfalls that we might have seen elsewhere in other countries. And one thing that a key takeaway for me is it's an ecosystem issue. It's like charging is such a problem that no one entity can solve it on its own. So it's good that we have all got together, we have exchanged views and cards as well, so that we can be in touch with each other. But I'll encourage all of us to be in touch, work together and try to see how we can overcome some of these problems. I think unless there are any other comments, I would like to conclude. I would like to request Shantanu to give a vote of thanks. There is also lunch available, so please, have your lunch before you leave. But over to Shantanu to conclude and give a vote of thanks.
Before
Considering what
Shantanu, there's just one line of everybody's interest. Metro is eager. We're inviting OEMs, CPOs. Please meet us, sign off the MOUs, do your preliminary study of feasibility. We'll tell you which are the stations with the highest footfalls as of now, and our expectation from the other stations, because we are slightly modifying the frequency now. We run the trains at 7.5 minutes in the peak hour. With the Rambadi extension, we might come down to 5 minutes, and then thereon we might go to 2 minutes during the peak hour. So we can guide in terms of which are the stations of our first level of interest. Come over and then you can start installing, and we would support to the maximum possible. Right. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll start from your last sentence that lunch is ready, so I won't take too much time, I think. But really want to thank each and every one of you for coming over and having such kind of very interesting discussion, sharing your insights. So on behalf of PIC, Prayas, Gokhale Institute, and IESA, real thank you to all of you. And one big lesson sort of from this discussion is the future of EV is really very exciting. It's really going to grow in leaps and bounds, but at the same time it's very challenging also. It's not easy journey. All stakeholders really need to work together, share and learn from each other, and then only that exciting future is going to be sort of more practical, more uh, sort of nice experience for all stakeholders involved. So let's continue this sort of communication and sharing and exchange of views. So thank you once again, and let's